Good evening and welcome to the September 25th, 2023 meeting of the Florissant City Council. I would ask that you stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Sir. Shildroth?
Here.
O'Donnell?
Here.
Pagano? Parson? Siam? Harris? Manganelli? Egan?
Here.
Caputa.
Let the record reflect that a quorum is present. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes. Are there any corrections or additions to the meeting minutes of September the 14th, 2023? Seeing none, Mr. Harris makes a motion to approve those minutes and is seconded by Mr. Shildroth. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? And the minutes are approved. Our next item on the agenda is hearing from public citizens. This is time to speak to the council on any item not necessarily on the agenda for a period of 3 minutes. This is not a question and answer period. If you would like to speak to a council member or the mayor, we would ask you to please stay until the end of the meeting and contact us directly. If you are here to speak on a public hearing, I would ask that you wait until that public hearing is called before you speak. I do know that there are some people that may want to speak on the public hearing that cannot stay for the entire meeting, and this would be the proper time. If you must leave and you want to speak about the zoning issues up at Coke Park, now would be the time, if you cannot stay, to approach the council. Sandy Meyer. Oh, yes, ma'am. This is 3 minutes. Later on, when we go to talk about Coke Park, we'll have plenty of ample time. We want to hear what everyone has to say. So if you're here to speak about Coke Park, I would ask you to wait for a little bit, okay? I promise you we will hear you this evening. Thank you. Sandy Meyer. Good evening. If you'll state your name for the record, please.
I just had a couple of questions. I know you can't answer them. I wanted to bring it to the attention that there is a completely down street light on Manor, and it's been down. It might be Ameren that needs to take care of it, but it's just gone. It's just laying there, and it's been that way for like a month. And then, I'm sorry, dang it. I was going to ask about the flocks, but Chief Fagan answered my questions on that. And I had one other thing, brief. Oh, rental homes. There was during the comprehensive study thing, it was talked about limiting the numbers per block. And I spoke to Mr. Manganelli, and there was a study being done as to where the rental homes are located and how many are where and all that. Has that been looked into? I'd like to make sure that that is still being addressed. And since you can't answer questions, that's all I have.
Thank you very much for taking the time to see us this evening. I have approximately 7 additional yellow cards in front of me. If you need to speak now and you're going to talk about a public hearing and you must leave, please come up to the microphone. If you're willing to wait till we have the public hearing, I'd appreciate it.
Excuse me.
Yes, sir.
I think this is the best place for mine. I don't want to get into the legal back and forth for the public hearing, but
Step right up.
if you don't mind.
If you'll state your name, but you only have 3 minutes. I got to limit you to 3 minutes.
I got you. It's short.
You got?
I got you.
Thank you. State your name, sir.
Guy Tinker, and I live at 1505 Flicker in Florissant. Good evening, everybody. I have something written here. It's the west side of Florissant has features that a good portion of the residents in Florissant may not be aware of at all. The west and northwest portion of Florissant has forest, Literally, there's forest over there, undisturbed forest that's been there for hundreds of years. Woodland that you can roam and discover wildlife and nature. It has farmland, land that is actually farmed by farmers to grow crops. It has a river, a very significant river in our country, famous for many things and beautiful to explore. It has parks that are parks with undeveloped land that aren't just playgrounds, undeveloped land that provides opportunity for education about wildlife and nature. What is left of these areas is beautiful and needs to be preserved. Nature is disappearing all around us. It's being turned into pavement and buildings. I went to Google, and when I searched if parks are beneficial to a city, the first thing in bold type on the page was, parks provide intrinsic environmental, aesthetic, and recreation benefits to our cities. They're also a source of positive economic benefits. They enhance property values, increase municipal revenue, bring in home buyers and workers, and attract retirees. This reinforces my feelings that the best solution for the city is leaving the green spaces as they are, designated as parks, and let them be parks. Sorry, this is one part about there is a proposal on the agenda tonight to take a part of a beautiful undeveloped parkland in Florissant and turn it into a housing development. I don't think that's a good idea. I think it's a terrible idea and a terrible precedent to set. What about our parks in the future, or if people see this and because it's unprecedented. You can look all over. This hasn't happened in our area or surrounding areas at all. So just one last thing. Remember that once it's gone forever. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tinker. The next item on the agenda is public hearings. This evening, folks, we will have 4 public hearings that are all interrelated. They all deal with the issue that Mr. Tinker was just speaking of concerning ultimately decisions made about the subdivision at Cope Park. If you have a comment, I would ask you to wait till the 4th and final public hearing. That way we can kind of keep things as congruent as possible and stay on task as much as possible. Obviously, if you feel you want to comment beforehand, we're not going to stop you. But it might make more sense if we all wait to the end, and I promise you, anyone who has a comment in this room will be heard. Public hearing 230918.
In accordance with Section 405-135 of the Florissant Zoning Code, a public hearing will be held by the City Council of Florissant, Missouri, in the council chambers at 955 Rue St. Francois on Monday, September 25th, 2023, at 7 p.m. on the following proposition: to approve a final subdivision plat for Lot 12, St. Ferdinand Commons, for the property located at 3200 North Highway 67. Citizens will have an opportunity to be heard. Anyone with special needs should contact City Clerk at least 5 days before said public hearing by calling 839-7630 or email kgoodwin@florissantlaw.com.
Is the petitioner present? Yes. If you'll come forward, sir, and state your name for the record, please.
Kevin Kelroy.
Good evening, Mr. Kelroy. The floor is yours if you want to start explaining your project.
Okay. Since right now we're just talking about the subdivision plat, we're simply taking a section from a parent property.
Can you get a little closer to the
Sure.
microphone, please?
Is that better?
So we can hear you. Yes.
We're taking a larger parent property, and we're going to take about 1/3 of that and split that off from the parent property, make it a private subdivision plat, and then rezone that a B5, which will be, I believe, the next item. So right now we're just looking for final approval of what we've drawn up for the final plat, and we have taken this before planning and zoning, gone through all the checklists with them, gone to MSD, gone through that whole process. We're splitting off about just, I believe, under an acre. And I'm not sure the best way to present this, if it would be to plug in or if it would be to...
You can. There's a plug right there, yes.
And unfortunately, I don't have an HDMI.
Hang on. IT's headed our way.
I don't have an HDMI cable.
Oh, we could lay it flat?
Yep, if that will pick it up, that will work just fine.
That should.
Oh, there we go, we got it.
And it doesn't want to pick it up. Let's see if I can make it darker.
I might be able to darken this as well.
I'll let you do your thing first.
How's that?
Great.
Nice job,
Thank you,
Steve.
Steve.
Okay, so this is the plat right in front of the old Lowe's, and this hole was a parent plat before the Discount Tire split off of this side and built that private drive-through here. We are looking to split this section right there off, and then later the parent property will be able to continue to develop behind that.
Nothing, Mr. Sound. Not seeing any questions from the council. Before we close this public hearing, is there anyone in the audience that would like to make comment? Seeing none, Mr. Cyan makes a motion to close the public hearing. That is seconded by Mr. O'Donnell. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you very much. Public hearing number 2309-019.
In accordance with Section 405-135 of the Florissant Zoning Code, a public hearing will be held by the City Council of Florissant, Missouri, in the council chambers at 955 Rue St. Francois on Monday, September 25th, 2023, at 7 p.m. on the following proposition: to rezone the property located at 3200 North Highway 67 from B3 Extensive Business District to B5 Planned Commercial District to allow for a credit union with attached drive-through. Citizens will have an opportunity to be heard. Anyone with special needs should contact the city clerk at least 5 days before said public hearing by calling 839-7630 or Kate Goodwin at florissantmo.com.
Mr. Kelroy, I believe you're back up. Again, if you'll state your name.
Kevin Kelroy.
And then talk about this part of the project, please.
All right. Being the B5 we're rezoning to, we have to, it's a planned business district, so a little bit more goes into the presentation. As we've done with the plot, we're looking at the section of land right here. That's the black dot. Discount Tire is there. So my client is All True Credit Union. We're looking to build a 2,400 square foot branch, single story, with a attached drive-through, 2 lanes, and a bypass lane. Behind it will be a shared access drive that All True will not be part of, but we do have to maintain with an agreement. I'll skip through some of these. We went ahead and made sure that all of our site photometrics were compliant with city code with our design, and probably, okay, this is not working awesome. Each one of those numbers is a digit that just is a light level at the sign. Make sure we're good with our security and with our limited light we're allowed to bleed off the site. We submitted our proposed landscaping plan, make sure that we were compliant with that code, and then we will need to verify that before we get a permit. Parking, we were asking for an increased calculation on that to support the amount of business this site is projected to have. The only things that came out during planning and zoning is we changed the gate material from the proposed composite to vinyl, as it was the only, that and metal were the only allowable materials by code. Screening of all HVAC equipment will be handled. Signage will be compliant with city code, both monument and building signage, along with locations of where those will be on the site. And finally, a little bit of what the building would look like. So masonry and veneer, that's thin stone cut, so it will be compliant with the city's code. The rest of the materials will carry the warranties required by the city. So you can see a little bit more of the attached drive-through, 2 lanes with the bypass. Materials that will be on the site that were presented to planning and zoning. And I was hoping I would have had a rendering, but it looks like that's not in here. Are there any questions for me?
Yes. Mr. Siam.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. Kelroy. I just have a couple of questions. I guess not so much that picture, but the northwest elevation picture that you had before, is that more or less what it's going to look like from the street, I guess from North Highway 67?
Sure. Let me pull that one back up. So this right here will be the street elevation.
Yeah, okay. And you can see the drive-through from
Not
that?
from the street. You would be able to see the drive-through from the southwest, which that is the drive off of Lindbergh that goes back through to the Lowe's.
It'll be behind the
Behind the
building. And this is just out of curiosity more than anything, but it looked like from the aerial photo, like there's a very steep. Does it need a lot of leveling and grading to be done there? Because it doesn't look like the land is as it is. You know?
There is a significant amount of grading that needs to be accomplished on this site in order for this building to be able to be up at the street level.
Yeah, that's kind of what it looked like. And one last question, just if all goes according to plan, what is your estimated completion date?
We'd be looking to get this thing started, I believe, late. About a year from now in completion. So we're looking at a construction duration of about 9.5 months. So.
Okay, 9.5 months. Okay. All right, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Kelroy, is there any, is in the drive-through lanes are included drive-through ATM?
I believe there is a through wall at the building. Try to find the floor plan for you. I apologize, I drew this one about a year ago. We had significant delays on this project. We do have an ATM. I'm just trying to remember if it was a through-wall ATM or if it was on the outbound lane. It does look like I would have to pull that plan up on my computer to answer that.
We can get that information before the final vote.
Sure.
Great. Mr. Caputa.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Kilroy, welcome. How you doing today?
Good.
Good. I have a couple questions. Actually, the trash dumpster looks nice.
Yeah.
It looks nice. But my question is the stone veneer.
Mm-hmm.
What is your process of securing that to the building?
It gets secured through manufacturer specifications, which typically is the scratch coat, the mesh, another final coat. The stone gets completely back buttered and the building gets buttered, and then it gets adhered and filled. It's not a open joint masonry, it is filled at the joints.
Now, do you have any specs on the material you were using to adhere the stone to the wall itself?
At the current time, no. Those would be in our specification manual.
Because we have had problems in other cases throughout the city of that veneer stone falling off the building. I have been on several projects myself that I have worked on where that has fallen off the building. They have had it on several. I mean, I'm not a big fan of that kind of material because of my experience with it. Mm-hmm. And you're saying that's a full masonry, that building goes with our code as a full masonry building?
The code is defines thin masonry as less than 1 inch thick. This material ranges from 1 3/4 to 2.5.
But it's
so
still not
and
stackable, and it's not the building itself as a masonry structure.
Correct. It is still an adhered masonry. And yes, we've had those problems, which a lot of times we found the failure point with things like you're talking about to be installers who think they're doing something good by only putting it around the edges of the stone, leaving the center hollow and plugging it on there. They think that somehow they're suctioning it to the building. That doesn't work. And that is one of the reasons that our company requires one of our superintendents to be on site anytime construction is going on, so that we can keep an eye on it.
Different types of material to use to adhere that to the building, and some of it's better than others. I know a lot of it comes down to cost effective, but I would like to see some of the specifications actually on that material itself. And because like I said, there are different types of materials out there. Some of it's better than others. And I'd like to see that spec so I can do my own investigation on this.
Okay.
Before, like Mr. Egan said about the final vote with the ATM specs and everything, if possible, I'd like to get that specs on that also.
Okay, I could get the manufacturer's specs and then a sample of another specification manual we have, because for this project we haven't written the specification manual, and we wouldn't do that until we got into near the end of the construction document portion, which we have not begun at this point. Would a sample spec work well?
I guess so. I would like to see what kind of material they are actually using that, because like I said, there's so much out there. Some are better than others.
Oh, sure.
If you use the regular old sand and cement on there and put it on there, it's going to fall off. If it's not a certain kind of material, it will do that. You know that. And we all know that. And that's my biggest concern, Because a lot of times they fall off and they take a long time to get fixed. Then more fall off, and I don't want to see nothing like that, because it has happened before. And my other question is, do you use local contractors, or do you go nationwide and use contractors?
We are a nationwide company, but we try to use local contractors as much as we can, both for the local community, and that helps keep the cost of the building. I mean, it's a win-win for everybody to use local subcontractors.
I always suggest that you use contractors that are signatory to the St. Louis Building Trades, and possibly use minority contractors that are signatory to the St. Louis Building Trades. I know we're a labor-friendly community, and I like to see the contractors and the builders come in here and prove that to the citizens and the residents of the city that you're willing to do something like that. So that's what I would like to see. That's my suggestion. So.
Yes, we have many people in our company whose only job is to try to find new bidders in new markets, open the bids up to as many possible bids as we can.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Caputa. Seeing no further comments from the council, before we close this public hearing, is there anyone in the audience that would like to make comment? Seeing none, Mr. Cyan makes a motion to close the public hearing. That is seconded by Mr. Caputa. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you, Mr. Kelroy. Have a good night. Public hearing number 23-09-020.
In accordance with Section 405-125 of the Florissant Zoning Code, a public hearing will be held by the City Council, Florissant, Missouri, in the council chambers at 955 Rue St. Francois on Monday, September 25th, 2023, at 7 p.m. on the following proposition: to authorize a special use permit to allow for a vehicle and RV storage establishment in existing B3 extensive business district for the property located at 2 Minky Place, Jorville, LLC. Citizens will have an opportunity to be heard. Anyone with special needs should contact the city clerk at least 5 days before said public hearing by calling 839-7630 or kgoodwin@florissant.com.
Thank you. Mr. Marshall? Good evening, sir. You'll state your name for the record.
Good evening. My name is John Marshall.
Welcome, Mr. Marshall. If you'll go ahead and tell us about your development, your project, please.
Thank you. Thank you. My family owns and operates Ruiz Mexican Restaurant. We recently acquired the lot adjacent to the restaurant there. Fun story about that is my grandfather originally owned that lot. When he first purchased that strip, it was a plaza, a strip mall. He sold it to, I guess I'm drawing about Mr. Menke. who sold it to Ash Aurora, who we purchased from. We would like to make it a RV and vehicle storage lot. It fits within our business model. It is a business within our budget and something we could oversee with minimal input, which would help stabilize our balance sheet because it is economic uncertainty is always prevalent. So it would just be something advantageous to us to try to develop and, like I said, help fortify our balance sheet against, like I said, the economic tumble drum that we are always seems to constantly be in. I don't know if you have any questions that I could answer at this point.
Mr. O'Donnell.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening.
Good evening.
Nice to see you, Mr. Marshall.
Thank you.
I don't know that I have questions as much as maybe just a couple of things to let you respond to. You and I talked in detail about this project when I visited your location. So one of the things you're not going to do is have any kind of sales with regard to this. This will be strictly a rental by the space to place a vehicle, not for any kind of sale of vehicles, correct?
Correct, yes. The requirements for vehicle sales would be very different than the LLC that we opened to make this happen, yes.
And then the other thing we talked about, and maybe you could, if I'm jumping ahead here, but you had talked about an office space that you have in the back of the building, existing entryway in the back of your building that you were going to use for this. Maybe you could kind of elaborate for those that don't know about that.
Correct. The building originally started as a strip mall. There were 8 sections that were converted over time into all one complete restaurant. Since then, we have downsized. So we have an unused section on the west side, which is kind of still set up as, you would have a bathroom, you have a rear exit, a front entry. It has all its own amenities, air conditioning, storage. So it would function well as an office space, which we, through the permission of the zoning and planning and zoning commissioners, was allowable and that fit within the code.
Well, I wish you the best with your petition. That's all I have, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. O'Donnell. Mr. Shildroth.
Thank you, Mr. President. Hi, Mr. Marshall. How you doing?
Doing well, thank you.
Good to see you. Could you tell me, I read in the agenda, the types of vehicles there. You will not be doing any over-the-road truck, cab, parking. It's all going to be RVs and boats, correct?
Ideally, yes. It would be recreational vehicles, maybe food trucks, boats,
Okay.
maybe project vehicles. There probably will be inquiries as far as storing, like I said, commercial vehicles for, box trucks and of the sort. I would be open to the business as long as that was, permissible.
Sure, the box trucks are great. I'm just thinking about, the cabs that you see around at a shopping center periodically, and we don't allow that. But box trucks are different. They're a smaller animal, so that's good. What about security? Can you talk about that? Are you going to have a camera?
Yes. So security will kind of be an ongoing concern for us. We are planning on putting an 8-foot fence with privacy slats with 90% opacity, which kind of closes off most of the sites of view. Security cameras. The planning and zoning commissioners made a suggestion of using analytical cameras that are more adapt to finding, searching location or searching movement and alerting us to movement. So it would be in our business's best interest to make it a secure location. So yes, we would probably invest heavily into a camera system. Yes.
Okay. I wish you luck, and thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Mr. Harris?
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening, Mr. Marshall.
Good evening.
I have one additional question. On the staff recommendation, one thing that looks like it was added at the end, that the lot shall be repaired and repaved. I
Yes.
just want to make sure you're aware of that.
Yes, we were aware that I have multiple bids already in queue for approval.
Good, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I have a few questions, sir. The gate on this, that be a motorized gate?
It will be a motorized gate, probably a cantilever gate, one that slides open. There are swing gates. I do have to confer with the gate installer based on, because there's some grade variances that, maybe a cantilever gate wouldn't, work necessarily because of the different grades. There may be a swing gate, but it will be motorized and probably remote operated.
Will that emit a sound when it opens up, like a beep, beep, beep?
I'm not sure. I know I've been a customer to other storage places around here. I haven't, other than the chain and the motor making the noise, I haven't heard any type of beeping or alarm. If that was something that you guys would want to see, I could look into that.
I guess my concern would be, and I know you're not really close to a whole lot of residents there, but are you going to have 24-hour access to the lot?
I would assume we would, because most of it would be remote access. Yes.
Well, then I would suggest that we keep that level. If there is a beeping noise,
To eliminate it.
we keep it at least in check. That it's not going to disturb the neighbors. And I guess I know they're mostly over the creek there, but
Okay.
that could be late at night. That sound could travel.
Sure.
And how many slots do you anticipate having?
Currently, there is 38 slots, stalls, they call them, on our site plan. There is a gate, I guess it would be the gate behind the restaurant, that's in the plans that we probably wouldn't install. So that would probably allow for maybe 2 more spots at that point. So we're probably around 40 stalls.
Thank you very much. That's all I have. And seeing no further questions, before we close this public hearing, is there anyone in the audience that would like to make comment? Mr. Gerald, step forward, please, and you'll state your name. I'd appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. President. Honorable members of the City Council, Mayor Lowry. Lou Gerals, reside at 1355 Swallow Lane, Florissant, Missouri, 63031. Although I serve on the Florissant Planning and Zoning Commission and I voted for approval of this special permit request, I feel it is a good use of this location. I am here in an unofficial capacity as a resident to request the City Council carefully consider several additional factors concerning this request. And you have a copy of my letter there. And these were not discussed in any detailed planning and zoning meeting for the special permit. After a brief research on the internet on how other cities handled storage lots, these are some of the areas of concern that maybe you should briefly consider. One, the petition was simply presented as a storage lot for vehicles and recreational vehicles, as Mr. Shildroff brought attention to. But when we questioned the petitioner, a lot of vehicles and commercial vehicles were going to be stored there. So, first, I'm not sure that the lot will be designed to handle vehicles in excess of 10,000 pounds. A lot of cities will prevent storage facilities for vehicles in excess of 10,000 pounds unless they're properly designed for that. But secondly, plumbers, electricians, other trades that have the small vans and step vehicles, I see no problem in those type of vehicles. Second, the maintenance of the parking surface, fencing and lighting must be maintained in an acceptable manner. A lot of cities really accented free of potholes, slip and trip hazards, providing proper drainage of stormwater, making sure you don't have oil and grease spots throughout. And I think that was mainly brought up by several insurance companies. It's probably not a bad idea for us to include it in our ordinance to kind of double protect ourselves. And the third is hazmat vehicles and trailers, containers containing hazardous materials, liquid, solid, gas, chemicals, combustibles, propane. I know some RVs have like a 40-pound tank. I think here we're talking about large quantities of propane or explosives, pesticides, acids, paints and solvents, sewage, waste, fertilizer. Some of these things should never be stored in a commercial parking lot in any large quantity. That could possibly leak and contaminate the environment and might create health and safety concerns for all the users of the lot and the surrounding areas. It's important to note that our city code book references nuisances. This works better. In many locations of the code book, Section 213 covers many of the public nuisances listed here in item 3. When I first showed that to my wife, she said it has everything but the kitchen sink in it, but when you took a closer look, she said, yeah, it's got the kitchen sink in it. But who here can list all the different public nuisances that can develop at a public parking lot? So something like reference to our public nuisance ordinance would be helpful, and I'll explain why in a little bit. RVs and other vehicles, another fourth item that other cities accented on was RVs and other vehicles should not be used for occupancy at any time while they're on the lot. Another item, item 5, no live animals of any kind shall be stored on the lot for any length of time. I don't know what some of these cities do, but they probably run into a lot of different stuff. And then no routine business transactions to be conducted on the lot at any time, whether it be products that are on the vehicle or the vehicle themselves. I recommend listing some of these conditions, if not all of them, and restrictions in the special use permit ordinance for the storage lot for several reasons. One, it gives the petitioner a better understanding of what conditions and restrictions that we've placed on the lot, what our main concerns are, and without having to hire a Philadelphia lawyer to comb through our code book and pick up all the different nuisances, violations that could possibly happen. Next thing would be the city inspector checking on compliance with the special permits ordinance can easily go through an ordinance and look through all the things that are listed in the ordinance. As a former director, I had my staff pull special permits and B5s, and I had the inspector go out. I had him pulled on the anniversary date of that special permit B5, and then every year they'd go out and make sure that folks were in compliance. So it does help the inspector when you list a lot of things in the ordinance. It may sound redundant, but it really is helpful. And the third thing, if the storage lot is ever sold to a new owner, looking at the ordinance gives him a clear picture of what the city expects from that new owner. The conditions, restrictions, without combing through, again, the code book, trying to nail down all the different items. I therefore respectfully request that the City Council carefully consider some of these items and adding them to the city ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Giroux. Mr. Marsh, do you have any comment on any of his comments?
Yeah, I agree with all of the comments. I mean, it would be in our best interest not to conduct any business that involves storage hazardous materials, live animals, just for the pure liability aspect of it. As far as the gross vehicle weight, 10,000 pounds, I know I have a transit van that is almost 10,000 pounds, so anything that would pretty much eliminate the idea of an RV storage lot if that was considered. I know that we have 53-foot tractor trailers on our lot delivering food. Most of that lot, or at least 40% of that lot, would be concrete pad where the old car wash was. That concrete's 6 inches thick. I know the base layer, the sub layer is 1 inch minus. I know that is at least 10 inches thick. It's been repaved twice, so that is cumulative about 4 inches thick as far as the asphalt goes. We will be adding another 2 inches to that, so it'll be whatever that is, 7 plus 10, 17 inches of materials. So I think that it should be well within, a good enough rating to accommodate, larger recreational vehicles.
Thank you. I will make sure that we enter these remarks into the record, Mr. Gerald. We'll also make sure that Mr. O'Donnell has a copy, and he can work with the petitioner if they wish to amend the ordinance between now and next meeting. Ms. Pagano.
Yes, and it's something Mr. Gerald said, and it came through. You're not going to allow anyone living in those areas.
Oh, yes, I
right?
forget, yeah, so, yeah.
I
No.
just want to clarify that, because I will put it in this bill. I mean, no one's living there, right?
Yes, I'm the only one that lives there, honestly. I spend most of my time at that restaurant, so.
Right. But, okay, just to make that clear. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you. And again, we'll make sure that Mr. O'Donnell gets a copy of this, and he can work for any amendments he wishes, or the council wishes. Not seeing any more public comment, Mr. O'Donnell moves to close this public hearing. That is seconded by Ms. Pagano. All in favor? Aye. And the public hearing shall be closed. We are now getting to the final four of the public hearings that I spoke of earlier. And again, if you are interested in speaking on the viability of the subdivision at Coke Park, whether for or against, I would ask you to wait to the fourth public hearing. Public hearing number 23-09-021.
In accordance with the Florissant zoning code, a public hearing will be held by the City Council of Florissant, Missouri, in the council chambers at 955 Rue St. Francois on Monday, September 25th, 2023, at 7 p.m. on the following proposition: to amend the zoning code to establish a PDR, Planned Development Residential District. Citizens will have an opportunity to be heard. Anyone with special needs should contact the city clerk at least 5 days before said public hearing by calling 839-7630 or email kgoodwin@florissantmo.com.
I will start the public hearing by asking Mr. Hessel, our legal counsel, to make a statement, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. I do want the record to reflect that the comments and documents, if any, that are part of this public hearing will become part of the record in the subsequent public hearings. However, this public hearing is to address the amendment to the zoning code to create a new planned development district for residential purposes. And all comments should be directed to that matter, which is pending before the City Council. At this point in time, my partner, Jackie Graves, John Bragg Caglione from PGAV, and Todd Hughes will be making the presentation concerning the proposed amendment to the zoning code to create planned development for residential as a new zoning district. I note that the language constituting the text amendment is fully set forth in Bill number 9915, if anybody needs to refer to it.
Thank you, Mr. Hessel.
Thank you.
Ms. Graves?
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening. As you all know, this is a public hearing, and as John just explained, to amend the city's zoning code. And specifically, it's Article 5, Chapter 405 of the zoning code, which will be amended to establish a planned residential development district. Essentially, it's to encourage the development of single-family residential neighborhoods. And we don't have something like this in the code right now, but it is similar to what we do have for planned commercial districts, the B5 planned commercial districts. So we're essentially creating something similar for residential districts. Staff's discussion regarding the creation of this zoning code amendment did come about in part because of the conversations that we were having with McBride Development related to potentially developing residential areas within the city of Florissant. As a result of those discussions, we contacted John Bragg Caglione. John is here this evening. We all call him John B. You can do the same. Who has a long history of developing ordinances just like this nationwide. John is with a company called PGAV. They were engaged to draft this ordinance for the city of Florissant. And John Hessel and I have worked with John on various matters over the years. So we know that he knows his stuff and does a good job. And he's local. So although he does work nationwide, he lives and practices here in St. Louis. Although discussions with McBride were the original impetus for hiring PGAV and developing this ordinance, we want to make clear, staff wants to make clear to you all that we think this is an ordinance and an opportunity to, that the city council that planning and zoning may want to use for a variety of different developments in the future. So it's really a benefit to the city overall, and not, although this was partially the impetus to this amendment, it's not just this development that would be able to be used in order to develop and to encourage new residential developments within the city. Since John B. is the drafter of the ordinance, he's here and he's going to speak with you this evening. But before John B. speaks, I'm going to turn it over to Todd Hughes, who also has some comments for you. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jackie. Todd Hughes, Public Works Director for the City of Florissant. We were approached by McBride Development to look at our ordinances. We also felt that we did need a mechanism for a planned residential district. When I had searched through the code for what we had currently, we have some very disjointed language that might be considered a planned district, but I was not comfortable with that language the way it sat. So I approached Mr. Hessel and asked him if he knew of anybody who would be able to go through our zoning code, take what we have, correct it, and make a planned residential district for us, because in my opinion that is a very good tool for the city to have. So because a lot of our existing properties are not conforming type properties, and this would allow more uses of the properties that we have available for development. So Mr. Hessel then directed me to PGAV, and Mr. Bragg-Canglione looked at everything and came up with what I think is a very good ordinance amendment. So I will turn that over to him and let him discuss what those changes were.
Thank you. Mr. President, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, what Todd didn't tell you was that I have done various planning assignments for Florissant since 1978. Now, that'll give you a hint to my age. However, this ordinance is intended to replace the PEU, Planned Environment Unit ordinance that you have, which is sort of a bad attempt at planned residential development, and I think it got into your code because you annexed territory, and that the old PEU district regulations and the vision of that came from St. Louis County. I don't know if it's still in their code or not. So while this actually uses certain pieces of that are part of the review process, it really sort of starts over and creates a planned development regulation for residential uses. And as Todd pointed out, it's like the PD, what is it? B5. You don't call the other ones planned development something like the others do, but that's fine. It went through the process with the Planning and Zoning Commission. There were some very minor suggestions made as a result of that. For example, on the fourth page, there was a phrase at the very end of the first paragraph under I that was confusing and quite frankly not intended. It got carried over from an earlier draft. Also, I-1B, the square footage allocation for the open space, any open space area shall not be less than 6,000 square feet and also not less than 15 feet in its smallest dimension. And then the last one was the addition on, this is on page 5, and it is section 405, 175A, that added street lighting as a requirement to be shown on the preliminary development plan. Other than that, this is the ordinance that was originally drafted by me, that went through various reviews back and forth with John and with Todd. And it very closely resembles what your fellow communities have as far as this kind of regulation.
I'm not seeing any council questions. Before we close this public hearing, is there anyone in the audience that would like to make comment? Seeing none, I will make a motion to close this public hearing. That is seconded by Mr. Shildroff. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? No, public hearing is closed. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next public hearing, and again, I assure you, everyone will have the opportunity to speak before we leave tonight. Public hearing number 2309022.
In accordance with the Florissant zoning code, a public hearing will be held by the City Council of Florissant, Missouri in the council chambers at 955 Rue St. Francois on Monday, September 25th, 2023 at 7 p.m. on the following proposition: to approve a final plat for the property located at 2300 Charbonnier. Citizens will have an opportunity to be heard. Anyone with special needs should contact the city clerk before, at least 5 days before said public hearing by calling 839-7630 or email kgoodwin@florissantmo.com.
Ms. Graves.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to request, before I begin, that the record reflect that all of the comments that were made in the last public hearing for amendment of the zoning code also be made part of the record for this public hearing. Thank you. This public hearing relates to a request to authorize the approval of a final plat for certain property located at 2300 Charbonnier Road. This property is currently owned by the city and is part of Coke Park. It consists of approximately 31.94 acres of land. So as you all know, part of one of the ordinances which is before you this evening, we're not having a public hearing on it because it's not necessary, but is related to a land swap, which is an agreement to basically swap land between the city and McBride Development. That's bill number 9918 on the agenda this evening. That bill would authorize the mayor to transfer the city's ownership of this property into a subsidiary of McBride called Coke Park Development, LLC, in exchange for another piece of property which is located next to Sunset Park and consists of 43.74 acres. And that property would be used and dedicated toward parkland, expanding Sunset Park. So staff, with respect to this public hearing, is requesting that council approve the final plat for 2300 Charbonnier Road. Platting this property is important as part of this overall plan this evening that's being discussed before the council in these 4 public hearings, because as you'll hear later on, to approve the land swap, McBride has to develop this new residential subdivision. So platting allows the plat for this residential subdivision. It's part of this larger process. It would only apply if the land swap actually goes through and happens, but it would be necessary for that subdivision to be developed. So we do think it's an important part of this overall plan that we request your approval on tonight. To discuss more thoroughly, I'm going to turn this over to Todd Hughes.
I don't know about more thorough, but you covered just about everything. So I don't know if you want to turn the projector on.
Projector. Oh.
I've gone a little. They're all asleep. There we go.
There you go.
So this is a copy of the final plat that we are asking to be approved tonight. It divides Coke Park's current status as one large unit into 3 smaller units. It has the cell tower area here, the passive park section, which is here, and then the active park section, which is in this area right here. So the city would be retaining a majority of the existing Coke Park and transferring the roughly 31 acres, which is known as Lot B on this particular plat, to the McBride Development Coke Park Development LLC. And that's just so that you can see what's going on there. And again, this is a minor subdivision plat, so it just requires the one plat.
I'm not seeing any council questions. Before we close this public hearing, is there anyone in the audience that would like to make comment? Good evening, sir. Please step forward and state your name for the record.
Good evening. My name is Zach McMichael. I'm an attorney with Cape Sokol. I represent Mary Christine Love, who owns the property on the northwestern boundary of what would be Lot B.
Very good. Welcome to the city of Florissant.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here this evening. The first time I've spoken with the Council of Florissant, so thank you for the privilege. I wanted to start by talking about how in development of cities, land only really moves in one direction, and that's towards development. And the city of Florissant has owned Coke Park since 1962. And so therefore, I'm going to ask on behalf of my client that the city slow down and think about, is this the best use of this land? And if this is land that should be developed, is the city getting the best bang for its buck? Is the city getting the most resources for this very limited park resource that the city has? I've submitted a sunshine request on August 1, received some documents, and there's a couple of things in there that were concerning to me that makes it feel like this is more of a rushed process, not a thoroughly investigated process. First is I specifically asked for any appraisals done by the city of Florissant for this Lot B area of Coke Park, and it doesn't appear the city has done one. So I question how the city would know what this property is worth and whether it's getting a fair deal. I also asked if any appraisals were done of the property that would be conveyed to the city of Florissant, and there are no appraisals of that property. So I think it's very concerning because the city can't know if it's getting a fair deal. You're getting more land, but you're trading flat, developable land for land that abuts Missouri American Water Company's treatment facility and is bluffs and floodplain along the Missouri River. And I don't think those are a fair trade in value, just land for land. There also has not been, to my knowledge, a traffic study to know if the two-lane street, Charbonneir Road, can handle the development of this subdivision and the other subdivision that McBride plans that would have to filter out onto that road. I think we need to know, are there going to be resources necessary to expand that road if these two areas are, if these two subdivisions are created. I also think, and it seems rushed, there's nothing wrong with this technically, but to me it seems like a rushed process where tonight you're going to be asked to vote on Ordinance 9918 to give the mayor authority to enter into this agreement with McBride, which was already entered into by the mayor on June 5th. That to me isn't the normal course of how things operate. Normally what happens, in my experience, is cities talk about these things, they make a decision, then they give the mayor the ability to enter into a contract, and then the mayor does. To me, it seems backwards, that this was already entered into, and now the city's coming back to ratify that. And so therefore, on behalf of my client, I ask that we slow the process down, we do the proper research, and we make sure that Florissant is doing something that's in the best interest of the citizens of Florissant. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McMichael. Mr. Hessel, would you care to comment on some of those legal questions?
I would, Mr. President. I was going to wait until we got to the rezoning and the site development plan, but I'll comment now in the same order that Mr. McMichael raised them. He talked about the city slowing down and why rush through this process. As this council is fully aware, this process has been going on, by my memory, close to a year. This was certainly not a rush process by any stretch of the imagination. Mr. McMichael suggests that the city should appraise the respective properties. An appraisal is to take one parcel of ground and compare it to other comparable parcels of ground. We typically do that for our residents. So if you're living in a 2,000 square foot house, third of an acre, 3 bedrooms, you find an appraiser who will look at other homes that are comparable to that and then determine what the value of your property roughly is. And that process works great under that kind of a system. I've been doing this a long time, as you all know, and that appraisal process does not work and is not effective under circumstances like this. Because what you're really looking at now is the value of Coke Park as a park. You can't value that any other way. And then you compare that to the value of what I'll characterize as the Love property to be used as a park. And you compare the benefits that the residents will receive as a result of, in this case, switching the property from Coke Park and transferring that to McBride and acquiring the property that we'll refer to as Love Park, which is next to Sunset Park. And I'm confident that you're going to hear from Patrick Mulcahy and from the mayor about the benefits that the residents will receive from that transfer. And it's not my position to advocate one way or another. It's just to explain the process. But you can compare the beautiful green grass over at Coke Park, very passive use. I've been there many, many times over my life. And compare that to what the city can obtain and will have if this land swap takes place for the Love property. There are trails. There are trails that you can use for biking and hiking. It leads to a beautiful destination. Again, Mr. Mulcahy will touch upon that. But my point of that is neither legally or practically is it appropriate to use some kind of an appraisal process as Mr. McMichael is suggesting. He also talks about a traffic study. That is one of the obligations that appears in your preliminary site development plan. A traffic study must be performed. So that is taken care of as well. Mr. McMichael talks about the normal process. Again, I've been doing this a long time. It is certain, as this council is fully aware, months ago, prior to the mayor signing the development and conveyance agreement, we met in closed sessions. Those minutes have not been made available yet, but they will be once the council approves them. Now that we're at the stage, let me back up, under the Missouri Sunshine Law, those are closed records and closed meetings until the actual execution of the purchase and sale. But because we're involved in this process, we're going, once the council approves it, the minutes, the discussion that this body had with staff concerning this proposal will be made public so that everybody understands. We're not springing this on the city council this evening. This has been a matter that has been brought before the city council, and there was extensive discussion about it, and this body authorized the mayor to move forward in signing that agreement. So again, the comment that don't rush into this, again, I'm sure Mr. Michael is just unaware of those facts, so I'm not being critical of him. It's just that he doesn't have all the facts to fully understand and appreciate what the staff has done and what the city council has done to get us here this evening.
Thank you. I would also add that several people have mentioned that we will be voting on this tonight. That's not going to happen. This is for first reading only. Not seeing any other council comments before we close this public hearing. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to make additional comment? Step forward, ma'am. State your name and your name for the record, please.
My name is Kathy Wilson.
Come up, please. Now, there you go. Now we can hear you.
My name is Kathy Wilson.
Good evening.
Good evening. If this has been going on for a year, why doesn't anybody know about it? Why aren't you shouting this from the rooftops? All I've heard is what a great deal this is for the city. Why can't you build on that 43 acres that you're giving Florissant? The truth is it can't be built on. It's not hiking trails. It is bordered by a river. It is in a floodplain, and it is a heavily wooded 2-to-1 slope, which means you would never be able to ride a bicycle. You wouldn't even be able to barely crawl up it. The truth is you can't put houses on that property or you wouldn't be swapping it for the wide open ground at Coke Park. What you're doing is unprecedented. No municipality has ever taken a park and turned it into a housing project. It's never been done before, and not in a good way. I think once you take that precedent, once you set that precedent to take our parks away, I would like to see the mayor value park property like its citizens do. Like we voted in 2006 for a tax increase for park and recreation use. Yeah, you don't seem to value that by taking the park away from the citizens. It's never been done. Communities usually add to parks. I don't, once you set this precedent, once you turn Coke Park, I'm told it's not used, it's not used. I live there. It is used. I don't know where that's coming from. That park is used. People walk their dogs, they fly kites, they walk back in there. You're not going to be able to walk on the 43 acres that McBride is giving us. It's not possible. I've been on that property looking for mushrooms. It's not possible. Once you set this precedent, what park is next? What park are you going to take from City of Florissant? I hope you will give that some consideration, because what you're doing, look it up, I did the research, has never been done. No community has ever taken park property from residents. Any questions?
Not seeing any further comments, Mr. O'Donnell makes a motion to close this public hearing. That is seconded by Mr. Caputa. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? And the public hearing shall be closed. This will be our final public hearing of this evening. And
Got two more.
Two more? Oh, goodness. There we go. We have one more after this. I apologize. 7 and 1 night. Public hearing number 2309-023.
In accordance with the Florissant zoning code, a public hearing will be held by the City Council in Florissant, Missouri, in the council chambers at 955 Rue St. Francois on Monday, September 25th, 2023, at 7 p.m. on the following proposition: to approve the final plat located at 2700 Malamphy Lane. Citizens will have an opportunity to be heard. Anyone with special needs should contact the city clerk at least 5 days before said public hearing by calling 839-7630 or email kgoodwin@florissantmo.com.
Thank you. Ms. Jackie?
Yes, thank you. Before I turn this over to the applicant this evening, I want to just ask for the record that all of the statements and comments made in the last two public hearings also be made as part of the record for the current public hearing.
Absolutely.
Thank you. So as you heard in the last public hearing, and as we all know tonight, part of this part of what we're doing here would require a land swap between property in Coke Park and property next to Sunset Park, which we've referred to this evening as the Love property. So with respect to that Love property, we have on the agenda this evening an ordinance that would approve a final plat for certain parcels within what is called the Love property. And it would do two things. First, it would consolidate all of the parcels that are going to be used for park property so that they could be designated as park property. And second, there's some additional land here that would be subdivided so that it could be developed into a residential neighborhood at a later date. You do not have anything on the agenda this evening related to that subdivision other than the ordinance that would allow the subdivision, but nothing related to a development of that property at this time. So before we turn it over to the applicant, I think Todd Hughes also has a few things to say about this, and then Attorney Catherine Moore for McBride will have some comments for you as well. Thank you all.
Mr. Hughes?
Thank you again. The land swap that has been proposed to the city would be for Lot A of this particular subdivision, which is shown on the overhead here. They are combining several parcels and making two parcels out of this particular area. So I will now turn it over to Ms. Catherine Moore and let her explain everything about this particular subdivision.
Good evening, members of the council, Mr. Mayor. My name is Catherine Moore. I'm here on behalf of McBride Homes, and I'll keep my comments about this subdivision really brief because I feel like you've heard a lot about the land swap we're here to discuss tonight. But this property, we closed on it New Year's Eve, this past New Year's Eve. It consisted of 7 parcels, so this plat will help consolidate all 7 of those parcels into 2. 1, hopefully to convey to the city, and 1 for McBride to retain for future development. We have no plans to develop it right now. Our plans on your agenda are about Coke Park, but we will want to develop that one in the future, also for a residential use. So this is just to aid in the land swap contemplated by the development agreement, just like the Coke Park subdivision plat is as well. If you have any questions, I'm here.
I do not see any council questions. Before we close this public hearing, and I'll remind you we have one more public hearing after this. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to make comment?
Yes, I would.
Please step forward and state your name, please.
Sandy Meyer. You said that this had been going on for over a year.
No, I said it's been under discussion.
It's been under discussion for over a year, and you said that you closed on this property on New Year's Eve less than a year ago? So I don't understand the discrepancy in the timeline.
We had it under contract for quite some time while we studied soils, environmental, received surveys, and had other engineering work done. So it has been well over a year.
But you've been discussing with our city for over a year.
Since we had it under contract.
So the plan all along was to say...
All right, we can't hear you, ma'am. If you guys want to make comment, you have to come up here so everyone can hear the comment. Thank you.
You're welcome. It sounds to me, though, like you've had...
Ma'am, can you talk in the microphone, please?
It sounds like
Thank you.
McBride put this property under contract with the idea all along that they would never build on that lower 40 whatever acres in a swap deal with Coke Park. It sounds underhanded by both sides.
See no further comments. Mr. O'Donnell makes a motion to close this public hearing as seconded by Mr. Caputa. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? And this public hearing is closed. This will be the final public hearing of the evening, and as I've stated numerous times, I will make sure everyone has the opportunity to make their thoughts known before we close this public hearing. Public hearing number, and I appreciate the comments we've had so far, 2309-024.
In accordance with the Florissant zoning code, a public hearing will be held by the City Council of Florissant, Missouri in the council chambers at 955 Rue St. Francois on Monday, September 25th, 2023 at 7 p.m. on the following proposition. To rezone the property located at 2300 Charbonnier, Lot B, from R4 Single Family Dwelling District to PDR Planned Development Residential District. Citizens will have an opportunity to be heard. Anyone with special needs should contact the city clerk at least 5 days before said public hearing by calling 839-7630 or email kgoodwin@florissantmo.com.
Ms. Moore, I believe we're going to invite you back up. Is that correct?
Before she proceeds, if I may.
Yes, sir, Mr. Hessel.
I would again ask that the record reflect that all the comments that were made in the 3 prior public hearings will be made part of this public record as well. I also obviously want to note this is what everybody has sort of been waiting for, which is the application seeking a rezoning and approval of a preliminary site plan. In that regard, I want to offer the following documents into the record. Exhibit 1 would be the Code of Ordinances of the City of Florissant, including the zoning code, and more particularly Section 405.475 of the zoning code. I'll refer to Exhibit 2 being the protest petitions received from property owners, which Mr. McMichael delivered to City Hall. They consist of the property owners at 3100 Charbonnier, 3030 Charbonnier, 3060 Charbonnier, 2695 Charbonnier, 2675 Charbonnier, 2635 Charbonnier, and 2515 Charbonnier. I also want the record to reflect that in order to determine the significance of those protest petitions, Todd Hughes, Director of Public Works, prepared a buffer map and then a table in order to determine whether or not the protest petitions met the 30% property owner requirement in order to trigger a 2/3 majority vote by the City Council. And Mr. Hughes, through his analysis, has determined that it does not meet 30% requirement, and that will be made part of the public, his analysis will be made part of the public hearing as well. Then I also want to include Mr. McMichael's email dated September 23, 2023, directed to the City Council, in which he notes that he dropped off the notarized petitions. He also notes that the rezoning application is part of a general plan to convey a portion of Coke Park to McBride, which we've been discussing. He also mentions the compensation for the approximately 31 acres of land in Coke Park. The city will receive 43 acres of land abutting the Missouri River. He then goes on and mentions, as we've already discussed, the city entering into the development and conveyance agreement, and he notes that he's concerned that this agreement was not properly entered into by Mayor Lowry. As we already noted, Bill 9918 on your agenda this evening authorizes the City Council, authorizes the mayor to transfer the property if it is approved. Also, as we have discussed in closed meetings held pursuant to Section 610.0212 of the Missouri Sunshine Law, discussions were held concerning negotiations of real estate. This is not an uncommon practice. Those negotiations are closed record until they are brought before the City Council in the manner that we're doing this evening. And once this council acts upon those, then the minutes of those meetings will become public records as well. Lastly, we also already discussed, Mr. McMichael is contending that an appraisal should be done of the property, and I apologize, I will repeat. Legally, the city needs to satisfy itself that it is receiving reasonable compensation for the sale or transfer of any property that it owns. This does not mean that an appraisal is an appropriate method for determining the value. In this instance, staff and I suggest that an appraisal is not the appropriate way to gauge the value of the respective properties involved in this land exchange. As we talked before, an appraisal involves evaluation by comparing comparable properties, and that won't occur in this instance because they are comparable, but they are different. And as staff, particularly Mr. Mulcahy and the mayor, will explain, the City Council should look to the benefits that the residents will receive from a park and recreational perspective, and this body will then have to determine, comparing those respective benefits, whether or not this is a good deal for the residents of the city of Florissant. With that in mind, either Catherine Moore can make her presentation, or you can hear Mr. Mulcahy and the mayor talk about the benefits, however you want to proceed.
Why don't we go ahead and proceed with Ms. Moore first, since she's up there, and then we will have the economic director in his honor speak afterwards.
Thank you again, members of the council, Mr. Mayor. My name is Catherine Moore, and I'm here on behalf of McBride Homes. We're excited to finally, the last item on your public hearing agenda, to talk about the Manners of Coke Park, which is our newest project proposed in the city of Florissant. This project would be undertaken by our development company, Elite Development Services, who is a joint venture between McBride Homes and Barra Construction. So as industry leaders in the region, we formed a development company, and that would be the land developer, with McBride Homes being the home builder for this project. I don't know how familiar you are with our company, but we're the largest home builder in the state of Missouri, but we're also the largest union home builder in the nation. We've been around for over 75 years, so stability is certainly our strength, and we pride ourselves in bringing homes where there's a demand, and there's certainly a demand in the city of Florissant for new housing. Here is the site we're talking about tonight, which you've already heard plenty about. It is the excess acreage located next to Coke Park. It's part of the Coke Park site right now, and the city has it slated for development, and I'll get into that in a minute. But to let you know, we have our team here tonight. Myself, our project engineer, Rodney from Sterling Engineer Co. is here, as well as our traffic engineer, Lee Cannon from CBB, an outside third-party traffic consultant we hired and who did perform the traffic study for this property. So hopefully one of the three of us will be able to answer any questions that the council may have about this project and about the land swap we're here to talk about. So this site is 31.49 acres in size, and as I mentioned, it's city-owned ground. You've already seen the two minor subdivision plats. It's to divide the Coke site, to divide the Love Track site, and then do the swap, providing the city with new, higher quality park ground in exchange for this excess land that hasn't been put to a beneficial use for the city for quite some time. And last month, we also had a meeting before the Planning and Zoning Commission where we received a unanimous recommendation from them, and we also received a favorable staff report from your city staff for this project. We are seeking a rezoning from R4 to the pending PDR category, and that is to allow this to be a cohesive residential community for the city of Florissant. Here is the city's comprehensive plan, which was updated, and I could be wrong, but I believe it was 2 summers ago. So summer of 2022 is when this was updated. And if you can see the site where it says Coke Park, I don't know if it'll let me zoom, it probably. Up at the top left where you see that star, it says Coke Park. Next to it is a designation. And that was already decided. It's in the city's future land use plan to have this become a new residential tract. The city decided this, that you need new housing and this is a good place for it to go, and put this ground to a beneficial use. Later, after this part of your comprehensive plan was passed, that's when McBride and the city started having discussions about perhaps enhancing the city's park ground and helping you with your future land use goals stated in your recent comprehensive plan update. So here is a color layout of the Manners at Coke Park project. And from it, you'll see that there is efficient access from Charbonnier Road, tree preservation along the perimeter, and there's a new public trail that McBride will build and dedicate to the city for public use that will be a part of this project. It consists of 108 single-family lots. They range in sizes, but with the average being over 7,100 square feet in size. Our Bayside home products, which is our most popular home product series, is what we'd like to build here. We're going to include new streets, new sidewalks, and that new public trail as an amenity, which will be 10 feet paved by us and dedicated to the city. We're going to bring new modern housing options that the city of Florissant has expressed a desire in bringing to the city, with walk-in closets, open floor plans, large kitchen islands, the types of homes that will help draw new residents to the city of Florissant and help keep some who are looking for those types of home products and can't find them today in the city. Let's see here. The planned district really is a concept that we see all across the metropolitan area that does allow us to plan out the site in such a way to allow that common ground that will be maintained by a new homeowners association, to preserve trees and really improve the infrastructure with those new streets and sidewalks in an efficient area. And here we're preserving 8 acres of common ground to be maintained by the homeowners association and 1.3 acres of trail right-of-way that we're going to be dedicating to the city. So that's quite a bit of including the public and including open space in this residential plan. The purpose of the PDR zoning, as you heard from your city's consultant at PGAB, is really to promote a well-planned residential community that you can't get in a straight zoning district, to allow that flexibility and allow those planning features that you see in modern residential subdivisions. So that's why we're seeking the new PDR zoning. We did get that traffic impact study that we talked about, and CBB, as I mentioned, is here to answer any questions that you may have. It concluded that access is safe, access is efficient, and that the street for this project, it operates well now, and it's not going to operate in a problematic manner in the future. It says that it operates at acceptable levels for the 2023 existing situation and the build situation. So that's how a traffic consultant or an engineer, beyond my area of expertise, that's how they state this roadway can handle this development, and that they don't see any problems with it from a traffic perspective. The single-family homes we're offering here are quite a range. We offer ranch homes and two-story homes in these series. And we have one two-bedroom option because for people looking to downsize or young professionals looking to get a start, we like to always have one two-bedroom option, but the vast majority of these are 3- and 4-bedroom homes, mostly two-story options. They range in square footage from 1,150 square feet, and that's that two-bedroom option, all the way up to just shy of 2,800 square feet. Those don't include the full basements that will be included in each home. So if someone were to finish a basement, it really does expand that living footprint that they have available. All of the homes will come with 2-car garages, standard, fully sodded yards, landscape packages. And many of the elevations offer stone accents, brick accents, and just within the last week and a half, we debuted quite a few new elevations, and I'll show you some renderings. We've never built them, so I don't have any photos to show you. But they're including the modern farmhouse and craftsman looks that have really taken off recently and what people are seeking in a new home. So the board and batten, the shake, vertical siding options, even some metal roof detail. This is all brand new, and we're just now debuting it in our projects. And this is consistent with the residential uses in this area. You have a roadway, apartments, Coke Park, and residential uses. This is a residential use that is fully consistent with this part of the city. Here are some photographs of our Bayside Series home products, which we would like to build here at the Manors of Coke Park. Here are some other photographs, just showing you some two-story and ranch options that our customers choose from. And then here, it's much smaller, but you can see farmhouse, vertical siding, shake. These are all of our new elevations that we've just offered, but that we haven't built yet. And in discussing these with you, I wanted to give you something to compare. In unincorporated St. Louis County and North County, at New Halls Ferry and Shackelford, we have a development called Riverstone. So it is the closest current McBride community to the city of Florissant. That's why I bring it up. I helped get that one zoned about 2 years ago in unincorporated St. Louis County, and we were really happy to come back north with that project because McBride's always had a north presence until recently. So we were happy with that one. In Riverstone, the average sales price is $375,000. The highest sales price right now, and we're not even halfway sold out, is $475,000. That is an older development. Prices are only going up. That's why what I told your Planning and Zoning Commission and what I can tell you firmly here today is that these homes are going to average in the high fours, even into the fives, based on the market and based on the comparable communities in the area. And another fact to tell you about Riverstone is very few of our two-bedroom Aspen have been chosen. Almost all of the homes have been two-story, 4 bedrooms, because that's what people in the area are looking for. They're looking for modern family housing with a larger footprint. So that's just by way of comparison to tell you what's going on in our closest community to the city of Florissant. Another item to highlight is that we have a state-of-the-art McBride Homes design studio located in Chesterfield Valley. We are the only home builder who has such an extensive facility where you can choose so many options. They're endless. And by options, I mean that's where our customers go to choose the lighting, their flooring, their countertops, their appliances. And so it's no longer a little sample you see in a sales office. You can see full-size items and vignettes and setups. And this is where our customers add value and personalize their McBride homes. It's been a game changer for us, and it has been driving up those values and people's investments in their home in a new McBride community. This project is 100% consistent with your updated comprehensive plan by bringing residential development to this access park ground adjacent to Coke Park. We'll also be providing you with that high-quality, beautiful, bluff, river-oriented new park ground adjacent to your Sunset Park on the Love Tract. This is also consistent with the development agreement that the mayor signed to kickstart this deal and move forward with this process. So we are seeking a favorable vote, not tonight, obviously, tonight's the first reading, but we're seeking favorable approval of this project for the rezoning to PDR and for the preliminary development plan approval for the Manors of Coke Park, because it will help further the city's goals and bring new modern housing to the city of Florissant. And then we're here to answer any questions you may have.
Mr. Mulcahy.
Thank you, Mr. President, Mayor, and council members. Thank you for letting me speak tonight on this proposal. My name is Patrick Mulcahy. I'm the Director of Economic Development here for the City of Florissant. And I want to talk about the benefits that this plan would bring to the City of Florissant and how it all ties into our recent comprehensive plan update as well. And the benefits we receive as a city are twofold. First, with the new move-up single-family homes that it offers, as well as an increase in green space that provides new and unique recreation opportunities to the City of Florissant. But before I get into any details, I would first like to show a video of the proposed new parkland. And the video starts on the current Sunset Trail and then eventually goes into the new park area, which is directly adjacent to where the trail currently ends. And in this video, you'll get a good sense of the trail system that's already built out in this parkland over the years, and that'll give you a good sense of that. So I want to show that video right now. And as I said, we're starting here on the current Sunset Trail. We are now approaching the end of the trail and the start of the proposed new parkland. And here's the river views from the new parkland. As you can see, there's a lot of trails already built out. And that's the beautiful river view looking west. This is all in the new parkland. So I'll just say, when you're on the ground in this new area, it reminds me a lot of a state park. You really don't feel like you're anywhere in Florissant, and some of those views are just incredible because, everybody knows at Sunset Park, when you're looking out over the river, a lot of your view is blocked by the big electrical power lines. And here with this new parkland, we're going further west, so you're kind of looking more towards the west there, as that last video showed. And it's just a really beautiful view there down on the ground. But there are trails all throughout this property, and so I'm going to show a few more pictures. These are more trails from the bluff going down, which I did hike this weekend, and it was a beautiful hike. It took me about 30 minutes to go down the trail, down to the river. You come to a lot of big openings within the trail where you can go 4 or 5 different directions. It's really a neat experience. Like I said, these trails are already all built out, even before any paved trail is brought into this property. And then this is a map of the new park property that the city police and as well as the fire have put together over the years, just in case there's a situation that happens down at the river and they have to go help somebody. They have these maps. These are the current trails that currently already run through this property. And like I said, I've hiked it myself. It was a beautiful hike. You feel like you're in a state park. And there's so many different directions you could go, as you can see on this map with the different trails that are already built out. So I'll just leave that up as I'm talking. So this new proposed parkland is 43.7 acres, and it's adjacent to the current Sunset Park Trail, as I already stated. And as you can see in the video, this land includes approximately an additional 1,500 feet of riverfront parkland along the Missouri River, which greatly complements the already 4,500 feet approximately of riverfront parkland the city currently has in Sunset Park. And as I stated already, the views along the riverfront in this new parkland are truly beautiful, as you saw in the video. And these views are unique and different from Sunset Park, in that currently in a lot of Sunset Park, your view is hindered by the large power lines. And these views are looking more west, as I already stated. This new parkland will start where the current trail ends, and the city is advocating for future plans that could include the expansion of the current paved greenway trail system into the new parkland, up the bluff, and then down Bluff Parks Drive to connect it to Coke Park. The city will also receive, as Ms. Moore already stated, a 10-foot wide multi-use path, which will be a half-mile multi-use path within a 12-foot wide right-of-way to be utilized around the new subdivision that will connect directly to Coke Park. This path could be utilized as a middle connection point from Sunset Park and to the possible extension to Truman Park and St. Stanislaus Conservation Area in Hazelwood as well. This walking and bike path will be maintained by the city and available for public use and will be a great value added to Coke Park, and as the petitioner stated, it will be built at the developer's expense. So that would be a great amenity that we could add to the park, and it could be a great connection point for these future connections. A connection like this is consistent with the recent comprehensive plan update, which called for expanding our walking and bike trails and connecting our city parks. And in the future, as I stated, this plan could possibly connect Old Town Florissant with 3 of our largest parks, St. Ferdinand Park, Sunset Park, and Coke Park, and then also further on into St. Stanislaus Conservation Area, possibly down the road. We've had several positive meetings and discussions with Great Rivers Greenway, and we hope to continue moving towards more investment in North County in the future with them. But like I've said already, even before any paved trail gets built in this proposed new parkland area, it can already be utilized as a hiking and walking attraction with the current trail system that's already built within it, as you can see on this map and some of the videos and photos that I showed. And when you're in it, like I said, you do feel like you're in a state park, and the city can publicize and name the different trails and create wayfinding signs. So when you're up on the bluff, you can follow a sign that says 1 mile to the river this way or that way. So I do believe that this is adding a unique recreation opportunity we currently do not have, and I tried to think, but I don't think we have anything like this in Sunset Park even. I know we have the paved Greenway Trail, but nothing as unique as this with the different hiking paths that are already built out. So that's all I had to say about the new parkland, but I do want to talk a little bit as well about the comprehensive plan and the recent update that called for this project. And this comprehensive plan update had many community meetings and lots of citizen involvement, and a new housing development is consistent with the recent comprehensive plan update, which called for new single-family housing and highlighted this area of Coke Park as a potential fit for that. The City of Florissant strongly desires to increase the variety of housing stock available to current and potential residents, and in the recent comp plan update, it was noted that the majority of the housing stock in Florissant is older and lacks modern amenities, while at the same time, the plan stated that the population of Florissant was getting younger, and with the median age dropping to 35.9 years old, and household sizes were approaching 2.5 people. To accommodate these younger households and provide housing options for established, smaller families looking for modern homes, the city set a goal to facilitate the construction of new housing that offers amenities that appeal to these buyers. Because Florissant is a mature city with most of its land already developed, the study recommended that the unused portion of Coke Park, the project site, could be repurposed as a new residential development. This would serve to maximize the potential of the underutilized land and provide needed housing for existing and potential residents, while at the same time adding new parkland near Sunset Park. Based on the St. Louis County Assessor's data, approximately 91% of the city's single-family housing stock was built prior to 1970, and houses built in this period range from an average size of 1,100 square feet to 1,286 square feet. I myself live in a 970 square foot home that was built in 1954 here in the city of Florissant, and young families in my situation are certainly looking for move-up housing, and that's one reason that the comp plan called for this. The result of this current development pattern that we are in currently means that people looking for modern, high-amenity housing must currently look outside of the city to meet their demands. Finally, I will close with some economic benefits from this proposal. In addition to any revenue impact the city could receive, the city could also experience a broader economic benefit from the increased customer base and spending that comes with additional residential development. When I meet with developers and businesses all the time, I'll tell you they're always looking at the data. They're looking at median home value, median income, and rooftops, meaning the amount of population in an area, to determine where they locate. So I believe that this will help the city attract new businesses, that developments like this certainly put the city on the map and also help increase home values, income, and population. These newer homes are often desired by grown families looking to stay in their current communities. And additionally, the older, more affordable homes they leave are then sought after by younger professionals looking to buy their first home, especially in communities with amenities and services they desire. These demographic shifts, as suggested by the decreasing median age, have real potential to support local retailers and even help attract new and varied businesses who see the market opportunity of a greater number of younger residents with growing buying power. With that, I would be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mulcahy. Mayor Lowry.
Thank you, Patrick. I think you did a great job, laid a lot of things out. I'll try to be brief. First, I want to thank everybody for coming to the meeting tonight to discuss and hear about this very important development for our city. I'm well aware that not everyone is in support of this, but I do believe it's the best for the city. Approximately 5 years ago, when I decided to run for mayor, during my campaign, I had the opportunity to meet with so many of the residents of the city of Florissant, whether it was at a meeting, a personal conversation, or when I knocked on doors. During these conversations, the top two concerns people had was feeling safe and economic development. Public safety. I believe that the city has the best police department under the command of Chief Fagan in the St. Louis area. I think our fire department makes everybody feel safe every day. Economic development. What people brought out is that they wanted to see more retail stores, more restaurants, and new homes. About a year ago, I had the pleasure of hiring Patrick Mulcahy, who is a Florissant resident, as our Director of Economic Development. Pat and I are making great strides in meeting with the concerns of our residents with regards to economic development. We're seeing new retail and restaurants, and we're continuing to meet with developers and business owners on a daily basis to continue the growth of the city. During the past year, we've had meetings with McBride and discussed building these new modern homes to the city. Tonight we're here for a public hearing to hear about this new home proposal. As you've heard, the city is gaining 108 brand new homes on 30 acres of passive parkland in the rear of Coke Park. In exchange, the city will receive 43 acres of land overlooking the Missouri River, which is a beautiful view, and walking trail system. We've also been in talks with Sunset Trail, with the extension of that Sunset Trail along the river and into Coke Park. This would extend the Sunset Trail from Coke Park, Sunset Park, St. Ferdinand Park, and into the Old Town area. Those are our 3 largest parks. These homes are 2, 3, 4-bedroom homes, anywhere between 1,300 and 2,300 square feet, with 2-car garages. The average lot size will be over 7,000 feet. These are the type of homes that the city is lacking in our housing stock, and the types of homes that are desired by our families. These homes will range in price from $250,000 to $500,000. Currently, the majority of the housing stock in the city of Florissant was built in the 1940s and 50s, on average around 1,000 to 1,200 square feet. The city has not seen a housing development of this size for the last 40 to 50 years. The new housing development in this area is consistent with our 2050 comprehensive plan, in which this information was compiled by the citizens of this city during the process. The city will experience broader economic benefits from the increase in population and spending that will come from the additional residential development. The passive area of Coke Park currently is the home of the archery range. We are currently building a new state-of-the-art archery range that is being built in Sunset Park. The range will include a shooting tower, shooting lines, 14 targets. The city received a $16,000 grant from Missouri American Water Company to develop this range. In addition, the United Sportsman Alliance is donating money to this project, and the construction is being conducted by the Union Trade Volunteers. Upon completion of this project, the range at Coke will be closed. On a personal note, I was born and raised in the city of Florissant. I've had the pleasure to serve the citizens of the city for the past 34 years. I served 29 years on the police department and the last 4 years as the mayor. I've had the opportunity during my personal and work life to visit every park in the city, and I do value the park system. With regards to the Coke Park, we offer so many wonderful amenities, such as playgrounds, baseball and soccer fields, a splash pad, the JFK Center, and handball courts. Currently, a new aquatic center is under construction. During my personal experiences at Coke Park, I have never used the passive part of that park and have never seen anyone use it other than the exception of the archery range. And years ago, we had a football field on that property, which is no longer in existence. As you can imagine, listening as this process has gone on, I've heard from many residents, and I will honestly tell you that the majority of the people feel this is important to the city. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. Now I'm going to open up for public comment. I'm going to begin with the yellow cards that I have in my hand. Or maybe I'm going to begin with the attorney if he's coming up. Mr. McMichael, I don't want to make any enemies of any attorneys, so we'll go
no enemies made tonight.
And again, welcome back to the city of Florissant.
Thank you. And I wasn't planning to speak more than once. I don't want to take more than my fair share, but Mr. Hessel brought me up at the start of this public hearing, so I wanted to respond to 2 points that he raised. The first is about closed records to approve this contract that was entered into. In my sunshine request, I specifically asked to be made aware of any closed records and what those related to, and I was not informed of any closed records. That's concerning to me as well. Regarding appraisals, I think it's pretty routine for home builders like McBride and their competitors like Consort Payne, others in the area, to do appraisals of raw land to figure out what they're worth. Certainly, it'd be very easy for this board to find someone, multiple people in St. Louis, to do an appraisal of this portion of Coke Park and figure out what it's worth. And then you could figure out, would you be getting a better deal if you sold it on the open market to McBride for cash or to some other home builder for cash? And that would give you more resources to maybe buy this undevelopable land that McBride now owns that they can't do a whole lot with, and build other amenities for the residents of Florissant. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McMichael. Elizabeth Cellini. I apologize if I mess up your name. I apologize. Please come forward, ma'am, and state your name and for the record, and tell us what's on your mind.
Good evening, Mayor, Councilman. My name is Elizabeth Ottolini. I live up here in North County. I am actually here to read a statement from As a lifelong owner of property on Charbonnier Road, I have dedicated myself to preserving my land as open space, and I have built a strong reputation for protecting this beautiful area of North County along the Missouri River. I never dreamed that Florissant would one day consider selling off 30 acres of Coke Park for development. Many people think that I am the one selling, but in fact it is a relative, Andy Love, who has contracted to sell his property on Melanphy Road to McBride Homes, not me. I do own the property on Charbonnier that shares a property line with the west end of Coke Park, land that Florissant is trying to trade away. McBride is attempting to exchange the 43-acre portion along the river, which is steep and difficult to develop, for the highly accessible 30 acres of Coke Park. I now repeat the offer I made to Mayor Lowry to donate 17 acres I own adjacent to Coke Park in return for a commitment from Florissant not to allow the development of park land. Alternately, I'm willing to form a group to purchase the 43 acres of land on Melanphy and donate it to Florissant for the same commitment to preserve any Coke Park land from development. This proposed swap between the City of Florissant and McBride Homes has not had the benefit of any appraisals to determine the relative values. Florissant wants to trade away flat, accessible park land worth $1 million, possibly, in return for inaccessible, steep ravines and floodplains worth less than $100,000, in order to benefit a group of developers motivated by profit and not the welfare of Florissant's citizens. Frankly, this deal does not pass the smell test. Sorry. The people of Florissant are having their parklands traded away to private companies in a rotten trade. Further, McBride Homes has a reputation for lower quality housing, which will certainly lower the property values of surrounding homes, especially if they're rentals. This has been their pattern repeatedly over the years. I urge you to reject this swap and this proposed rezoning and preserve Coke Park as it was originally intended, as a park for the use and enjoyment of Florissant's citizens, who are in fact the owners, not the mayor, not the politicians, and not the fast buck developers. Thank you. And just on a personal note, I was offered that land just at Thanksgiving, so this deal hasn't been, tied up for a year. And I've also, I'm very familiar with that land. I've scrambled all over it with the owner, with the previous owner, and it is neck breaking. There are not a bunch of, I don't know where you got those photos or those trails, but that is fantasy. There are no developed trails on that land right now. Anyhow, I just urge you to consider rejecting the proposed rezoning. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Jerry Pete? Petty? Jerry Petty, I apologize. Come up, sir, again, state your name so we have it pronounced correctly.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. Thank you for letting me speak today. I've been a resident of Florissant for so many years. At 1035 Bellarmine for 8 years, 51 years now at Starkway Court. I've worked with Mayor James Egan on a stormwater project along Bellarmine, and we filled in almost a quarter mile of Stormwater Creek and benefited approximately 55 neighbors in that area. I work with him, MSD, and the council here. I've also been a member on the Board of Adjustment for Mayor Bob Laurie. Okay, I've been a member of doing many other things in that particular position. And also, I knew James Egan very well. Some of my family worked for him. He was one of the most illustrious mayors we ever had. And I believe he would have definitely opposed this type of land trade that gives up our public Coke Park for another type of property not as valuable or isolated position near the river. Okay? My feelings are shocking. I find it unprecedented to give up public park land for a new subdivision without even a favorable consensus of the Florissant residents impacted by this proposal. This property, Coke Park, was given to the city of Florissant many years ago and to all our residents in this community. It belongs to the people as a public playground. And as a longtime Florissant resident, I used this. My family early days were flying kites, now they're probably flying drones, that sort of thing. And things change, I understand. But I have used the park many times. It's a recreation area, and thankfully I enjoy its pleasant, peaceful scenery, rolling green landscape from my backyard. I say no with a capital N to this project. I love Coke Park. It is a public playground, and if Mayor Jim Egan were here, I'm sure he would agree. Thank you.
Brian Wilson. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. I'm Brian Wilson, a 57-year resident of Florissant and adjacent landowner of the Coke Park development. I'm opposed to the development simply because it is a developed park. I'm not one of those backyard opponents, not my backyard opponents, but a city-owned park I believe is off limits to development. I've been in business for 38 years and worked on new developments, redevelopment sites, and a variety of other projects. In that time, my company has worked in 24 different states and has performed 17,000 projects. To my knowledge, none of the projects have been in a park for a planned residential or commercial development. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson. Mary. There you go. If you'll come forward and state your first and last name, ma'am, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Hi.
Good evening.
Hi. Good evening to all. Thank you for allowing me to speak. I just want to voice my concern and my strong opposition to the city not being transparent to its residents. This was all very secretive. And McBride's been involved in this for quite a while from what I'm hearing tonight. The citizens aren't aware of this until most recently, and it was a very small sign. If you guys thought this was such a great plan for the city of Florissant and its residents, why didn't you put a banner out there? New, fabulous homes coming. We're going to take away our park. We're going to take away our green space. I wish you would consider opposing this plan development for just the profit and the greed of McBride and other home builders. We need to keep green space. Thank you.
Mary, can I get your last name, Mary? Mary, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. Can I have your last name, please?
Kleins.
Klein, thank you very much. Cole Loftus. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Council, Mayor. My name is Cole Loftus, 365 Maple Drive, Florissant resident for 33 years now. As I know, I'm probably going to aggravate a lot of our audience here tonight. I'm actually in favor of this project due to the fact that my wife and I, again, another 33-year resident of the city of Florissant, we raise our two beautiful children and we have a growing family. That being said, we're also in a situation very similar to what Mr. Mulcahy addressed to the council earlier this evening, stating that we are in a position in our lives where we would like to move to a larger home. in terms of expanding our home or thinking of different ways to make our space more usable. I feel that that is a larger challenge than what it would take to, again, have the access to a development like such. So I am in favor of the development here. Again, my wife and my children, we frequent the city parks numerous times a week and utilize all of the wonderful amenities that the city has to offer, and we appreciate that. That being said, again, as a 33-year resident, I've never walked back on that portion of the park simply because there was really nothing back there besides an archery range. So I understand, again, hearing the other comments in the room tonight about being able to, have the kids enjoy the luxury of nature and finding wilderness and experiencing all those things. I feel that we have, again, multiple parks in our city that, give that as an amenity. And that, the fact that we haven't seen a development like this in 40-plus something years to now develop and add additional homes to the city that would be more suitable for the younger generation. As one of the younger generation here in this room tonight, it's so sad to me that when I see all of my friends pick up and move their families out to St. Charles County and they just abandon the city. And to me, that's not worth keeping 30 acres of parkland to see my friends pick up their families and move to a different city because they have more suitable homes. So, as a resident of the city, I'd like to advocate on the behalf of the approval. So, thank you.
Thank you. I have no more cards in front of me, but I know there are more people who would like to talk. Yes, sir. Come on up. Please state your name.
Hi there. I'm A.J. Freihoff, Ward 6 resident. I've been a resident of the city for 31 years. My wife, a little longer than me. I don't like to bring that up to her too much. It's an age thing. We have a beautiful son. We have a son on the way due next month, just like Mr. Loftus was speaking to, and Mr. Mulcahy. We're looking to find a home to grow into. We have roots in Florissant, and we want our roots to go deeper. The problem is we have an 850 square foot home, and I know that may not be a problem to some. I know my parents have grown up in a house with more siblings in a smaller home and made it work, and that's what we're doing. But I believe that we don't have to make that work. I'm asking the council to continue on with this process, hopefully see that there is a need and a desire for a larger home stock for the young families to grow into. That's pretty much what I got. I don't want to take up too much time tonight. I appreciate all of your time tonight and all the work that's gone into this project. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Ma'am, I think you had a second comment to make, ma'am?
I do, and I didn't know who to give this to.
Just come on up. You can give that to Mr. Hustle. We no longer need the yellow cards. We're just going to let people come up and talk.
Do I have to say my name again?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Every single time.
Kathy Wilson. I haven't changed it. It's my understanding that McBride is building 90 homes at the end of Malamphy, correct? They are building 90 homes. That's part of the swap. That's in your plan that is on the website. Or 80? On the 86 acres?
I think Ms. Moore talked about that earlier.
It's in your plan and it's platted out. It's on the website.
Ms.
It's
Moore,
on the website.
You care to comment on that? Could you come up, though, so we could all hear, please? And those at home as well.
We intend to develop the tract at Love that we retain ownership of, but not anytime soon. We have not submitted a plan. We have not applied for any approval.
Well, it's plotted out. It's on your website. I saw it.
A concept plan that could have been discussed to say we plan to develop this in the future might be, but we have not engineered any drawings. We have applied for no approvals.
Am I wrong? Is it not on the plan platted out?
I haven't seen anything on the city site, but I'm not going to deny it.
It is, yeah, it is. And so my point in saying that is, you already are you're going to get new housing. Why do you have to take Coke Park? You're going to have new houses. I don't know how many do we need? My other comment is, and she's correct, absolutely correct. I don't know where you got those pictures, but anybody that lives in that video, anybody that lives in the area, the bottom part is a floodplain, but that property is not walkable. It's a 2-to-1 slope. That's what I'm talking about. See, she's walked it. We live there. And I also can't, exactly. There's no trails on that property.
Please talk to the mic, ma'am, so we can hear you. When you turn your head, we can't hear you.
I'm sorry. I also am trying to figure out how you're going to get from that 43 acres. Patrick said you're going to be able to go through to St. Stanislaus. You're not going to be able to do that unless you walk down Charbonnier Road. You're not going to be able to cross Christy Love's property. You know that. So how are you going to get from this 43 acres, and he just said you're going to be able to get to St. Stanislaus Conservation Area. There's no direct route. It's not possible because Christy Love's property is sitting right there. So I would just like that explained to me how you're touting the benefit of all these walking trails and you're going to be able to connect to St. Stanislaus, and I don't see how that's possible. Can anyone explain that to me? I don't know where you came up with that, Patrick.
Mr. Mulcahy, if you want to respond, you're more than welcome to, sure.
Does he, I mean, if I'm missing something... Yeah.
I'll just say I took the photos and the videos on that trail because I walked it yesterday. So I took those videos. It's definitely walkable. As far as the trail, I said that it's a possibility. Once you get to Coke Park, I said it's a possibility. I didn't say that it's a definite thing, but our plan is to get it to Coke Park, and then after that, there's other ways through common ground that we're looking at.
Thank you.
But that 43 acres does not touch, it's not contiguous to Coke Park. Exactly. It's nowhere near. So to get to Coke Park, you're going to have to come up to Bluff Parks Drive and cross busy Charbonnier, which is about to get busier. You're not going to be able, it says it on your website. It's got a plot. That 43 acres does not touch Coke Park. It's not contiguous.
Let's let Mr. Mulcahy answer that question.
Yes, ma'am. So to get it up the bluff, you would go down Bluff Parks Drive and cross Charbonnier. Our current Sunset Greenway Trail goes underneath Lindbergh. It crosses Patterson. It runs along the back of the homes on Humes, crosses Shackelford. So it's not an unheard of thing for a trail to cross a road.
Right. I don't consider that a nature trail. If you're coming down Bluff Parks Drive, crossing Charbonnier, and then walking down Charbonnier to get into Coke Park. That's not exactly a nature trail. And right now, any common ground that they're talking about of Coke Park, again, on the south side of the road, you're not going to get to the St. Stanislaus Conservation Department, which, as you know, is on both sides of Charbonnier in the bottoms, but Riverwood Estates is in the way. So you're not going to be able to get all the way down. So the only way to get to the St. Stanislaus Conservation is down Charbonnier. So to me, I don't think you should sell that you're getting this big, you're not going to be able to connect it to Truman Park in Hazelwood unless you walk down Howdershell, which I don't consider a nature trail. There's no way to get there. You're crossing Christy Love's property, and that's not happening. So I don't understand. I guess I don't understand why we can't just go with the 90 new homes, which McBride is going to build and is on your website. Why can't we just do that? Why do we have to take away Coke Park when you can satisfy the need that you all identify Florissant needs with that 90-acre subdivision, which I might add is going to have some beautiful home sites, because that will overlook, that's going to be beautiful, much more desirable than any view you would have at Coke Park. There's going to be some gorgeous, that's what they should develop. That's a beautiful piece of ground. I would think that would be much more desirable as far as a new home in Florissant and satisfy all of your needs, rather than take away a park. I think you could do both. With that 90 acres or that 86 acres, you can put 90 homes or whatever the plan is. It's on the web, 190 total, I believe. So 109 in Coke Park and then the 90 up there. Well, you don't need Coke Park to satisfy your desire for new homes, and you still have the nature trail over there. I don't really see the need to take Coke Park away from citizens. And it isn't underused, by the way. It is used. You maybe didn't see anybody, but I also walked the trail under the transmission lines for a month and a half after we met, and I saw on any given day no more than 2, maybe 3 people. And I did my own research. So it's not heavily used. So again, I ask you, I don't see the need to take Coke Park when you can satisfy your housing with that 86 acres and still have your hiking trails without touching Coke Park, without aggravating some citizens, those of us that would like to see it stay. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Tinker, come right up ahead. Again, state your name, please.
My name's Guy Tinker, and I thought I was done until I heard something that I didn't know that, I don't know how many people here were privy to that information. I know I was, but I didn't know if Christy wanted me to elaborate on it. But the conversation that she had with you about donating the 17 acres that's adjacent to the park there of her property, and then putting together a group to buy the 47 acres, which is in this land swap deal, and donate that to the city just to leave the park alone. You would get your land, you would get an additional 17 acres. There's still land to build the other 90 homes that are proposed, but it seems like if you're doing a numbers game, that this is a better deal. And I mean, I don't think she told you that because she was kidding. I think she's dead serious about it. So I didn't know how much of the council was aware of that. I know that she said she had the conversation with you, but I didn't know how much of the conversation was about that. You get everything that you're after, plus.
Thank you. Do I have any other comments? Thank you. If you state your name for the record, please.
Hi, my name is Jessica Virchtold. I raised my family in this community, and I've actually even been a homeschool mom at times. And so I've used parks tons, just even in educating my children. And I know that currently, in order to get an experience on the river, a lot of times I have to go over to county. And I know that personally I would love to see Florissant have more river frontage. We're the biggest municipality and we have the least river frontage of the area. I also know professionally how many people look and look and look and try to stay in our community and end up across the bridge because they cannot find a house. I constantly see this all the time, and it's my friends, but it's also people that I work really hard to help them find a house. I am constantly helping them try to stay in the city, and they have to leave, and it's very sad to see. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Any other comments? Good evening, sir. If you'll state your name for the record, I'd appreciate it.
Hello, everybody. My name is Kyle Bennett. I just want to say that I'm a 25-year resident of Florissant, born and raised here. I am in favor of the swap. I think it would be good for the community. I think it would bring a lot of new homes, new families, new citizens to where we live. And this is the fact that it is based on a swap, and it's we're not, in my opinion, losing. We're gaining. So I just want to say that. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other comments? Are there any other comments? Are there any other comments, or please hold your peace? All right. Are there any council comments? I will make one set of comments. In 1966, my parents moved into what is now Mission Park subdivision. It's about a mile away from the park, probably less the way we used to take it, because in those days it was completely pure from Mission Park through the river woods. They weren't there, and the estates wasn't there, and the trails weren't there. And we would play these trails and these ravines and every day of our lives. And then in 1986, I moved to where I live on Paul now. I live about a half a mile from the park. In 2017, and I raised my family there, and we were there for ball games and picnics and you name it. In 2017, I had a heart attack, and my doctor said I needed to start exercising. And I became an avid runner, and that running has morphed into walking because my knees have gotten bad. And Coke Park is part of my daily routine. I go through Coke Park probably at least 4 times a week. And I do it because it's safer that I'm not going to get whacked by a car on Hotter Shell. And I also do it because as you're exercising, you get to see the activities in the park, the kids playing ball. And the ball fields are staying. The soccer fields are staying. The JFK Center, we have done under the mayor's leadership, tremendous strides in creating a new senior center and an event center inside of JFK that's going to be able to be run out for weddings and parties and the such. They've created a splash pad up there a few years ago, which my grandkids go to every week. And then, as you all know, due to the great decision of the city of Florissant, the residents, the younger folks especially, we are building a new aquatic center at Coke Park. I go through Coke Park literally 4 times a week. And it's a biozone. It's like any other place. There's the field we're talking about as you go west has mosquitoes and flies and bees and rabbits and probably field mice. The last 2 weeks I've extensively walked the property we're going to get, and I've driven it on a gator. I walked it yesterday. I walked from the top to the bottom and back up. It is an incredible area. It's a biozone where we came across chipmunks and deer. There's turkey in there. There's waterfall down by the river. And we in the city of Florissant have a unique opportunity to preserve that forever. Now you say, well, you're all politicians. You'll vote away from it. Well, you'll vote it out of our hands in no time. Back probably 8 or 9 years ago, the Deloge family gifted us 13 acres of riverfront. And the condition was that we would not change that for 5 years. We've had it much, much more than 5 years. We've left it exactly as we got it, and we've been tremendous stewards of that property. I know Mr. Mulcahy has talked about this vision of having a trail through there. There's trails through there right now. Day one, you can walk through there and bicycle through there day one. A bigger vision would be a connection, and we can argue all night long whether you connect to Truman Park or St. Stanislaus Park or wherever. But the bottom line is our hope and our goal, my hope and my goal is that and I only speak for myself, is that we can one day have the trail connect from Sunset Park to Coke Park. When you look at the terrain, it is very, very similar to Sunset Park. There are some different views we get at the bottom, but the trail we have there has been operated, was built by Greenway Trails, and has operated very successfully for numerous years now. It's a beautiful trail. I suggest you, if you can, walk down it or bike down it. I've actually biked and walked down it. It's a lot harder going back up, I'll tell you that. But it's absolutely doable, and we have people every single day that I'm on that trail. We see people walking up and down it or biking up and down it. I think this is an opportunity from an environmental standpoint to save an additional 13 acres and to have a really gem of a addition to our park system. Mr. Manganelli.
Thank you, Mr. President. I think you said a lot there. The one thing you left out is that when you grew up next to two great Italian families, and the Manos and the Manganellis.
We did.
But I too, grew up in Coke Park. We lived a couple blocks away from each other. Ran cross country through Coke Park. Played on the slide. Burned my legs on those slides. But never did we ever go back to the back of the park. It was just never utilized in our youth. There was never anything for us back there. And today I did have the opportunity to go with Mr. Mulcahy. We were trailing behind him in another gator, and I got to see that land too. And it is like we've been saying, very, very beautiful down there. Unlike nothing that we have anywhere that's been said. And I spoke with a resident earlier today talking about the walking paths. Years ago, actually 25 years ago, I used to hike out in the Pacific Northwest visiting family. My knees won't allow me to do that anymore, but the amount of people that do have good knees and do want to hike, this is something that will be very good for them, and it's just a beautiful setting. So I just don't see us just necessarily losing the underutilized parkland in the back of Coke Park, but I see something that we're gaining. And I will also say, if we were just losing park without gaining something in return, I couldn't, approve of anything like that. But I think we are getting something in return, something that will be utilized and something that will be a great addition to the city. And
please don't interrupt me over that, please.
No. But I mean, I'm happy that we got 2 more weeks to consider this, and I look forward to it. And also, being in the business I'm in, I had a customer, this is what I'll end with, I had a customer in my office on Saturday. They live out St. Peter's, O'Fallon area, and their kids are getting to the age where they have to buy houses. And they came to my office, came into Florissant from over the river, and they my business is just down the street here in Old Town, but driving through the area, they complimented me on how good the city looks, and they have, like I said, they have 2 kids that are getting ready to move out of their house. They're going to tell them to move to Florissant. They're going to recommend that they move here, and as they start their families, they're going to need something like this. And I think we need both. I don't think 108 houses will be enough houses for the demand by the young families looking for a better option in housing. But again, thank you, Patrick, for allowing me to tag along today. I truly didn't enjoy seeing the area firsthand. Thank you.
Mr. Harris.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to thank everybody for being here tonight and all the genuine comments. And it just feels good to be with neighbors, you know, having discussion and in good faith, right? And just still, I know we're going to walk out of this room, right? You know, like I have some neighbors. We're still going to just have, we're going to be on good terms, right? But I enjoy hearing this, like coming to so many council meetings and you know, we don't have this kind of discourse, but I think it's healthy to have that. You know, speaking of discourse, a lot was mentioned about the comprehensive plan this evening, and I was, that process was as it says, very comprehensive, and I don't think there had been one done previously. It hadn't been done since the early 2000s, which is before I moved here in 2004. After my wife and we were married, and we moved here to live, and then now we have a child, and we in the picture, one of the photos of the Love Tract, my house is in that picture, right? So I'm right up the street there, and that land has been private property for a very long time, and my understanding is that the city in the past, based on my conversations with previous council person in my ward and other people, former mayors in the city or mayor of the city, that this has always been something that the city has wanted to do to extend that trail, to extend our riverfront property and be able to do that, and that wasn't. I mean, I don't know the terms or whatever kinds of deals they tried to make. I'm not sure of those details, but it was never able to be done in that way. So now, because of the comprehensive plan, because of the vision and forward thinking of our mayor, of many people who attended these meetings, hundreds of people who gave feedback, and professional consultations that we had with the comprehensive plan, I think we have come to what I think is a sort of a milestone in turning in Florissant. When the mayor said, you know, when he ran, he talked to a good number of people, and he got a sense for how can we move forward as a city. I had the same sense, you know. Often I would say to people, it's time to move forward, because if you remain stagnant, you don't get anywhere with that. And I just felt proud of the comprehensive plan. I felt proud of the great numbers of people, probably many of you in the audience, who contributed to that. At the end of the day, it's difficult to be in this position as a council member, as a leader who makes the decision. It's a difficult decision, because you know that not everybody's going to see it your way. But those are hard decisions that have to be made sometimes to move forward. And I want to say that I do value Coke Park. And like others have said, Coke Park is, like on Saturday, this past Saturday, I was working in the common ground, actually, behind my house, which leads into the Love property there. I was working with a neighbor, and I could hear the kids from the 400, there's 400 kids each Friday and Saturday. They're playing in a new league, soccer. And I could hear that all the way from Lindsay Lane, behind Lindsay Lane. And that just was a sweet sound. So I know Coke Park is bustling. I know it's going to do well. But I want to just state what I think is that the Love property is extremely valuable, in my opinion. One of our speakers earlier said that Florissant has a variety of different terrains, right, including forest. And we have over 500 acres of parkland, and much of the ground across the city is a lot like Coke Park, I would say. However, not a lot of the parkland in the city is like Sunset Park, and not a lot of it is like the 40 some odd acres that we will be adding to that with the trails. So I just think there's a lot of value there. I know Coke, a lot of people have seen Coke Park. Not a lot of people have seen the Love Track. There are a few in the room that have, right? And then those who recently have. I am one who has experienced that in the summer, in the winter, the quietness, the snow coming through. It's amazing. So I wouldn't say it's desirable to give up any land. However, you have competing needs here based on housing and also parkland. And I think at some point these are tough decisions that we have to make. And I think moving forward, I'll keep an open mind, right? So I'm always open. I want to go back and watch the video and review these comments. They're important. But I do want to say that I just want to thank everyone for being here tonight and for offering your comments. It just feels good to do this as a community. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Harris. See no further comment, I will make a motion. Yes, ma'am, absolutely. Please state your name again for the record.
For the property off of Malamphy was 90 homes originally. Can we require that that be part of this agreement? And then we have 198 homes instead of just 108. Because I can see maybe that they go, we're never going to do that, and it's just going to stay, which wouldn't be all bad, but let's get them to do that too, right? Make them do it. There's property across the Charbonnier from the park. We've talked about it. It's the lots that are for sale by Sansone. If we're going to talk about retail there, which we said no, probably not, something like offices or, you and I spoke months ago and never heard anything back. I don't want more retail there because then you're talking massive amounts of traffic with 108 homes. I get the need for the houses, I really do. Somebody said something about smaller families, like 2.5 people. Unless I misunderstood, why would they want 4-bedroom homes? And then if you're going to make that, the trails down there are great. I walk them all the time. If you're going to make that, you need a road for people that can't walk a hill. They need to be able to access it because it's flat down there, or relatively better than the hill at Sunset. That's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir. Come on up. Please state your name.
Hello. My name is Kevin Kelly, and I'm just going to reiterate some of the things that have already been discussed tonight, but I had this written out. Thank you, President, Council, Mayor, for having
Please
me up
to the
here.
mic, Mr. Kelly.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Okay. I am in favor of the development. McBride & Sons has in the past built many subdivisions in North County. I go back to the mid-1980s when they started Riverwood Estates, Riverwood Trails. They've always come through, and I'm confident at the end of this, they'll hold up their end of the bargain, and our council and our mayor will hold them to those promises. This development helps answer one of the biggest challenges brought to us, and we've heard it over and over again at the comprehensive meetings about the 2050 comprehensive plan. One of the biggest things, keeping families in the area by developing newer, more modern homes to meet their standards. Again, I'm confident in McBride & Son that they'll develop a beautiful community and honor the promise they made to our city. The land swap, I feel, is a good deal. I've walked those trails, and of course, there's many areas of that park that maybe aren't as accessible as others, but at the same time, it offers a lot of beauty to the area. I've coached many different baseball teams, soccer teams in the area for years. I've been in Coke Park utilizing those fields for years, and I just know that the cost of maintaining that piece of property in the back of that park has to be pretty substantial for the city, and that I believe that new housing is a great option for that area, and I think the additional 47 acres will be an asset to our community. So thank you for having me speak, or letting me speak tonight, and giving me the opportunity to do so, and I appreciate your situation. Thank you.
I make a motion. Yes, ma'am, you have another comment? State your name again, ma'am.
My name is Kathy Wilson. Is cost an issue to maintain? I hadn't heard that before, but I'm curious. To maintain the back of the unused part that you guys think is not used, is that an issue? Keeping it bush hogged mode? Is that a problem?
Not to my knowledge.
Because we'll do that for free. We'll be happy. We have tractors. I'll be happy. As a community service, we will mow that ground for nothing.
Not to my knowledge, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. And I just want to say, anybody wanting new housing will be able to get new housing. There's no need to give up Coke Park. No need to do that. You do not need to do that.
I thank you all. I will make a motion to close this public hearing. It is seconded by Mr. Caputa. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you very much. We have a council meeting to continue. I'm going to make a motion to take a 10-minute recess. Mr. Gatto seconds that. Because if we don't, it's going to be very uncomfortable up here. All in favor, 10-minute recess? Aye. Opposed? And the council will stand adjourned for 10 minutes. Council, if we could begin to approach the dais, please. Council, if we can begin to approach the dais again. What happened with this?
I almost busted out laughing.
I was laughing.
I did laugh. I did laugh. I was trying to keep it under control. That was so funny. It just fell apart.
It just. Two minutes, council. 2 minutes, council. Huh? We might have to. I think we're not going to make. They're closing the kitchen at 10, so it ain't going to happen. That's okay. Woo! Let me get his on here. Old business.
There's only two that we did 3 readings on.
Tonight. Yeah, I think I've got them. This one and the other one. All right, everyone, we're going to begin the meeting. If you want to continue to have your discussion, I'd ask you to please step out in the hallway so we can continue our public meeting. Thank you very much. You're free to stand on the parking lot or in the hallway and chat. All right. Next item on the agenda, old business. Bill number 9906. Bill number 9906. I will make a motion for second reading. That is seconded by Mr. Parson. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Ordinance appropriating the community development block grant funds to the 2023 fiscal year for the city of Florissant.
Ms. Pagano makes a motion for a third reading. That is seconded by Mr. Caputa. All in favor? Aye.
Ordinance appropriating the community development block grant funds to the 2023 fiscal year for the city of Florissant.
Before the final vote is taken on this bill, is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak towards it? Seeing none, clerk, please poll the council.
Shildroth.
Yes.
O'Donnell.
Yes.
Pagano.
Yes.
Parson.
Yes.
Siam.
Yes.
Harris.
Yes.
Manganelli.
Yes.
Egan.
Yes.
Caputa.
Yes.
Bill number 9906 passes and becomes ordinance number 8912, 8912. Bill number 9907. Mr. Shildroth makes a motion for second reading. That is seconded by Mr. O'Donnell. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Aye. Opposed?
Ordinance establishing the rate of taxation to be levied upon all real estate and tangible personal property in the city of Florissant, County of St. Louis, State of Missouri for the year of 2023 for the payment of interest and principal on general obligation bonds authorized by the voters of the special bond election on August 2nd, 2022.
Mr. Caputa moves for a third reading. That was seconded by Mr. O'Donnell. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Ordinance establishing the rate of taxation to be levied upon all real estate and tangible personal property in the city of Florissant, County of St. Louis, State of Missouri for the year 2023 for the payment of interest and principal on general obligation bonds authorized by the voters at the special bond election on August 2nd, 2022.
Before the final vote is taken on this bill, is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak towards it? Not seeing, please poll the council.
Shildroth.
Yes.
O'Donnell.
Yes.
Pagano. Parson. Siam. Harris. Manganelli.
Yes.
Egan.
Yes.
Caputa.
Yes.
Bill number 9907 passes and becomes ordinance number 8913, 8913. Bill number 9908.
It's nice.
Bill number 9909. Mr. Siam makes a motion for a third reading, or second reading. That is seconded by Mr. Parson. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Ordinance authorizing special use permit to allow for a carry-out restaurant in an existing B3 extensive business district located at 2636 North Highway 67.
Mr. Siam makes a motion for a third reading, seconded by Ms. Pagano. May I have a roll call vote, please?
I still have to read it for the second
Yep.
time. Third time. Ordinance authorizing, or all in favor.
All in favor?
There you go.
And opposed?
Ordinance authorizing a special use, it's been a long night. Special use
Long night.
permit to allow for a carry-out restaurant in an existing B3 extensive business district located at 2636 North Highway 67.
Before the final vote is taken, is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on this bill? Come on forward, ma'am. Please come. Yeah, well, yes, you really do. They won't be able to hear you at home. If you'll be so kind to state your name for the record, please.
I just want to know what business that is. I don't recognize the address. My name is Joyce Chansey, 445 Myrtle Grove.
It's BLB Wings. It's a BLB Wings.
Yeah. What is that? What is it?
Same people at the Oak Bustle Burger.
Oh, okay.
Right next door.
Gotcha. Thank you.
You are welcome. May I have a roll call vote, please?
Shildroth. Yes. O'Donnell. Yes. Pagano. Parson. Yes. Siam. Harris. Yes. Manganelli. Yes. Egan.
Yes.
Caputa.
Bill 9909 passes and becomes ordinance number 8914. New business. Board appointments. Mr. O'Donnell.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to appoint Ray Underwood to fill the vacancy on the Landmark and Historic District Commission.
Motion made by Mr. O'Donnell, seconded by Mr. Shildroth. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? And the appointment shall be made. Do you have any further, Mr. O'Donnell?
No. Thank you, Mr. President.
Your Honor?
I wish to appoint Jeanette Jones to the Disability Awareness Commission.
That is motion made by Mr. Caputa, seconded by myself. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? And the appointment shall be made.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Bills for first reading. Bill number 9910.
Ordinance approving the final plat of Lot 12 of St. Ferdinand Commons for the property located at 3200 North Highway 67 in an existing B3 extensive business district.
Bill number 9911.
Ordinance to rezone the property at 3200 North Highway 67 from B3 extensive business district to B5 planned commercial district for all true credit union with attached drive-through.
Bill number 9913.
12.
I'm sorry, 9912.
Ordinance to authorize a special use permit to Jorville LLC to allow for a vehicle and RV storage establishment in a B3 extensive business district located at 2 Menke Place.
Bill number 9913.
Ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city of Florissant to enter into an agreement with Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission for the St. Catherine Street Improvement Project.
I'll make a motion for a second reading. That is seconded by Mr. Siam. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city of Florissant to enter into an agreement with Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission for the St. Catherine Street Improvements Project.
Mr. Caputa moves for a third reading. That is seconded by Mr. Manganelli. May I have a roll call vote, please?
Sir, Shildroth? Yes. O'Donnell? Yes. Pagano? Yes. Parson? Yes. Siam? Yes. Harris? Yes. Manganelli? Yes. Egan?
Yes.
Caputa? Yes. Ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city of Florissant to enter into an agreement with the Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission for the St. Catherine Street Improvement Project.
Before the final vote is taken on this bill, is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak towards it? Please come forward and state your name, please.
Hi, I'm Sandy Meyer. What is the St. Catherine Street project? Can you expound on that? And I'm sorry if that's available to me somewhere else. I'm unfamiliar.
Ma'am, it's an extensive project. I believe that's a double fund. We fund 80-20 fund on it.
We get funds from the state of Missouri to fund that project, and it'd be the improvement project along St. Catherine. Ty, where does it start at? Where does it end?
It goes from Waterford to North Florissant.
Which is obviously an area that's in really bad shape. We've got a lot of complaints about the condition of the roadway.
Oh, so this is like a resurfacing?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the entire project is posted with the agenda online.
Yeah,
So
I'm sorry. It was 200 and something pages, and I didn't get to it all. Thanks.
Any further comments? Seeing none, clerk, please poll the council.
Shildroth? Yes. O'Donnell? Yes. Pagano? Yes. Parson? Yes. Siam? Yes. Harris? Yes. Manganelli? Yes. Egan?
Yes.
Caputa? Yes.
Bill number 9913 passes and becomes ordinance number 8915. 8915. Bill number 9914.
Ordinance authorizing an amendment to Chapter 125065, wage increase in schedule, subsection A, job classification and grade level, for the purpose of changing the grade level of the building commissioner.
Mr. Shildroth makes a motion for second reading. That is seconded by Mr. Caputa. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Ordinance authorizing an amendment to Chapter 125065, wage increase in schedule, subsection A, job classification grade level, for the purpose of changing the grade level for the building commissioner.
I believe Mr. Caputa moved for third reading, seconded by Mr. Manganelli. May I have a roll call vote, please?
Sir Shildroth? Yes. O'Donnell? Yes. Pagano? Yes. Parson? Yes. Siam? Yes. Harris? Yes. Manganelli? Yes. Egan?
Yes.
Caputa? Yes. Ordinance authorizing amendment to Chapter 125065, wage increase in schedule, subsection A, job classification grade level, for the purpose of changing the grade level for the building commissioner.
Before the final vote is taken, is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on this bill? Seeing none, clerk, please poll the council.
Shildroth?
Yes.
O'Donnell? Yes. Pagano? Yes. Parson? Yes. Siam? Yes. Harris? Yes. Manganelli? Yes. Egan?
Yes.
Caputa?
Bill number 9914 passes and becomes ordinance number 8916. 8916. Bill number 9915.
Ordinance to amend the Florissant Code of Ordinances, Title IV, Land Use, Chapter 405, Zoning Code, by adding a new Title V, Planned Development Residential District, PDR.
Bill number 9916.
Ordinance authorizing the approval of a final plat for the property located at 2300 Charbonneir Road.
Bill number 9917.
Ordinance authorizing approval of the final subdivision plat of 2700 Malamphy Lane, parts of lots 1 and 2, Jane Lindsay Estate.
Bill number 9918.
Ordinance authorizing the mayor to transfer ownership of a portion of Coke Park property consisting approximately of 31.94 acres to Coke Park Development LLC and Elite Development LLC, provided that the city receives returns a parcel of land adjacent to Sunset Park consisting of approximately 43.7 acres to be used as parkland.
Bill number 9919.
Ordinance to rezone the property located at 2300 Charbonneir, Lot B, from R4 Single Family Dwelling District to PDR Planned Development Residential District.
Next item on the agenda, council announcements. We will start with Mr. Parson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to remind the residents of Ward 8 and Ward 9 that we will be having a joint ward meeting at the James J. Egan Center on October the 10th at 6:30 p.m. There will be heads of each department that will be there to speak and answer questions along with your council representatives for those wards. That's all I have, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Parson. Mr. Manganelli.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want, so 26 years ago, my wife was entering her 22nd hour of labor. So I just want to wish my daughter Angela a very happy 26th birthday tomorrow. And then my last reminder, you'll never hear about this until next year. The Italian Festival is this Saturday. Yeah, have you heard of it? We don't boil the meat there. But anyway, from 11 in the morning till 8 at night, we're going to have a bocce tournament. I know. There's still teams available. There's still a couple slots if you want to get in. But there'll be great food options, cannolis, lots of kids' activities, petting zoo, touch a truck. And then a late entry to this is an organization that was started here in Florissant, Simple Positive Play, will be there having tons of activities for the kids. So we'll have that added as well and hope to see everybody there. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Manganelli. Today is September 25th, providing my wife and I make it 6 more days, and it's shaky at best. We will have 35 years together. So, babe, I love you. Happy anniversary. Your Honor.
Thank you. So this Wednesday, we have a plaque dedication for the late Sue Mitchell. That'll be held at 5:30 in front of 111 Rue St. Francis. And then after the plaque dedication, we will have our Wednesday night out at Handel's restaurant this year. Our National Night Out is Tuesday, October 3rd. So gather your neighbors and make an evening filled with community spirit and unity. That'll be from 6 to 8. And please contact the police department so they will stop by, and the fire district will do the same. Thank you. That's all.
Thank you, Your Honor. The next meeting of the Florissant City Council will be Monday, October 9th, 2023 at 7 p.m. Mr. Siam makes a motion to adjourn this meeting. That is seconded by Ms. Pagano. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? And the council shall stand adjourned. Thank you.